Hello and welcome back to Blood and Ashes. This is episode 120, where we will cover The Gathering Storm, chapters 16 through 20. I'm your host Mo, and I'm joined once again by my defiant friends, Willie.
Very defiant, fiercely so.
Jody.
Bonjour, mon amis. I think that's how you say it.
It's almost as if you stole that accent from a certain Galgan.
Guillaume, the captain of the naughty boy.
Oh gosh, it's taken us 10 seconds to get into D&D talk.
I feel sorry for every other human being that's not us that hasn't had the experience of meeting Guillaume, the ship captain. He is quite a guy.
He was a classic. I hope he makes a return, because we just bid farewell to him in our campaign.
We did? No, right.
Yeah, yeah. The sessions always end in a bit of a haze, don't they?
So,
I'll tell you what is not a haze, though. This first chapter that we cover in tonight's episode was, when I read it, I was like, no wonder you guys have just like barreled ahead and read the rest of the book.
It?
Man,
how good is it?
Whoa.
I'm not peeved at all about the chapter selections and what I ran through, because this is actually a very good stretch of chapters. Like such good setting up. Like very good.
It's very cool. I mean, these ones specifically. So I've been sort of trying to keep with the podcast, in contrast to my last book experience, where I read the whole thing on my trip to South Africa and then was podcasting about it 6 months later. You know, like with the patchy memory, as bad as it is to begin with, was even worse because of that. And so now I'm reading along with the podcast episodes. But immediately after I finished my notes, I was like, I need to go read some more. And I read the next batch of chapters for the next episode already. So I'm still keeping to within the bounds of the episode descriptions, but I had to keep going. Because these ones, I mean, okay, we've got this killer chapter to begin with, which I won't elaborate on because we'll get to it. And then there's sort of like nothing. And then for me, the other like notable point was the fact that we finally get our first Brandon Matt chapter.
Yes.
And it's very much what we've been talking about, right? And
totally.
I keep having to couch it and saying I'm not going to keep pointing it out, but I think for at least each character there will be certain traits and descriptions that we might have to, because I find that for some of the characters, like Rand, I don't see much difference there, you know, between the authors.
Is Egwene even better?
I
mean,
am
kind of.
going to be
Or is
the
this Robert
voice
Jordan's
of
notes? Sorry, Willie.
just completely, because now bear in mind, I have not read any Brandon Sanderson books outside. I haven't read any of the Stormlights or whatever, none of that.
Right, okay. Outside
So
of
I
the Wheel
have
of Time, you haven't
got
touched
no
them, okay.
muddying of the water of his writing style. So for me at this point in time, I'm still reading everything, and I'm like, it seems as there's maybe a bit of a pace change or something.
There is.
But it
certainly
has
an increase.
not
Oh, yeah.
thrown me. But again, the pace change for me, I won't say that's like, oh, the author's changed, so now it's faster. I'm just like, we're getting to the end.
Yeah.
So now we're getting like
It would have been
storylines
resolution
that are separated,
and things are
coming
now
together
moving
again.
along. Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. I mean, we've said it before, Brandon Sanderson had the impossible task of wrapping up this. And, you know, he isn't Robert Jordan. No two people can write together exactly the same way, right? So overall, despite all my critiques, because I won't even call them criticisms, but my critiques of Brandon's interpretation of a lot of the characters, overall, I am over the moon with what we got here, right? Like, super, super stoked. And for the record, I'm a big fan of his other books. Mistborn, huge fan of Mistborn. Stormlight Archive, fantastic. I haven't read all the books that are out yet, but I mean, what I've read has been superb. I've read Elantris and Warbreaker and Legion and like a couple of his other stories, you know, the superhero one that's a bit like The Boys, Steelheart, you know, like
Calamity or something. Isn't that one of the series?
Calamity is the last book in that series. I think
haven't read
Steelheart
those.
is the first one. those are very cool.
Yeah.
But they came out, some of them came out before the boys, but then when you read them, you're like, oh, okay, cool. A world in which superheroes are actually all jerks and the people are cowering away from them, and Steelheart is this unstoppable, is Homelander, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool.
I haven't read those books at all. I didn't know that was the story at all. I had no idea.
No, they're cool. They're very cool.
The Mistborn was the best thing you ever referred me to.
Yeah.
I remember when you did it, and then I bought the books like that same week they arrived, and I remember reading the first book on the beach and just being like, I'm in. Take my money.
And those three original Mistborn books are probably after the Wheel of Time, or maybe even
100%.
The Wheel of Time. Robert Jordan set a lot of this stuff up, but
Yeah.
my favorite. I think I enjoy those first three Mistborn books more than I've even enjoyed Stormlight. Yes, all of this is to say, big Brando fans, here, right? So everybody that's listening to us sort of harp on like nitpicking the little bits and pieces. Please don't take that as a criticism of him as an author necessarily. It's just like how maybe we would have expected something else and have seen this. And I'm sure, like I said in the previous episodes, I'm sure that Brandon has his reasons for a lot of these things, and actually we'll get into some of those as well, Joe, because I think in these chapters we're covering tonight is the section that you said, oh man, I was really getting into Tuon, and then I read this and I was like, oh man, she's still shit.
Look, she's my chapter as well.
We'll get there.
I have noted on that, and we'll comment on it. I just have a question for Billy. Yeah, Billy. Even though you haven't read any Brandon Sanderson, just one final point on Brando. You still clearly see the difference in Avienda's character, right? I mean, you may perceive it different to us.
I am gonna say that what I'm observing and the frustration I'm observing is what the situation is, like her needing to break through. And I think the Aiel, the wise ones, lay it out, and they lay it out quite like making a joke when she finally gets it. Like, I mean, she's almost as long as you dumb cunt. You also took as
Bear
long.
starts laughing. I just read that's going to be in our next episode because that's the next batch of chapters that I just read.
I haven't read that.
Haven't you?
That's
sorry.
no.
Spoilers.
So I'm very honest.
I'm going to go complain about it on Discord
all
now.
Seems, for me, it seems very fluid. Like it's a
jarring
up
to me.
of direction. It's not jarring. It doesn't throw me off. Like all of a sudden, it's gone into a Shakespearean style of writing and thous and theys and all these things. And I'm like, what the fuck's happened? Yeah, where did my story go? I don't feel that at all.
No.
That being said, English is my second language, and that maybe I'm missing stuff between the words, but I don't think I'm that dumb.
I think Joe's hit on something. The fact that we've read other Brandon Sanderson novels, you can see his style more clearly because we've been saturated in it so much more. Like in every one of Sanderson's novels, if not every character, most of the characters, or at the very least the protagonist, is very sharp and very charismatic and has these Kelsier from Mistborn, like Kaladin and even Adolin and stuff from Stormlight, and like just all of the stories have this. And for me, the closest thing to that is how Matt is written in these books. Like Matt's sort of like the closest analog to his other. Me neither.
The change
obviously
is obvious to me. Like it's a big departure, but I like it. Whereas with Avienda, I don't like it. It's the
all I'm seeing in Matt's change is that he's a married man now. And all of us.
He is the Prince of
knows
Ravens, and he should behave as such.
It's such a good jump in the story. Hey? We'll get to that, but the way that chapter ends, and then the next chapter starts with them talking about women being goats.
I've got those notes. I've got that quote written down.
So instead of spoiling our own episode of the podcast, instead of looking forward, let's take a look backwards quickly in everybody's favorite section called Callbacks.
I don't like callbacks, Moritz. I'm going to voice that just for the record.
You love them. You love them.
Look at all these mistakes you made. Just bask in them.
Well, it's not clarifications, right?
Okay,
We're allowed to make mistakes. No one's judging. We're just trying to. Maybe it's a good time to remind everyone why I do this, because the whole point of reading this again and talking about it and stuff is sort of like just to hold on to as much of it as possible. And a lot of that, revolves around clarity and me sort of like shaving, off the rough edges and making sure that I've got that core memory right. And sometimes that means a bit of pedantry is required.
Yeah, I like that you're keeping you guys honest and praising me for my accuracy all the time.
It's a necessary evil.
You obviously make no missteps whatsoever and
No.
have a flawless game.
If you just look at me as a book and my life in the history, it would be like how one should live life. Like a guide to modern man.
Yes, sure. Okay, cool.
Wow. The manosphere. This podcast is going to evolve.
So, I had sort of made some offhanded remarks about Lord Algarin, whose estate Rand was staying in Tyr when the Trollocs attacked and the Death Gates were cast. Algarin Pendalone is Lord of House Pendalone of Tyr. He joins the Black Tower, where he takes the name of his dead brother Emerin and reaches the rank of full Usherman. So we sort of mentioned that he goes off to the Black Tower and he becomes an Usherman. But Emerin, his brother, who was able to channel, but was found by Cadsuane and was taken to the White Tower to be gentled. And Cadsuane helped him to survive for 10 extra years after being gentled, which is considered a very long time. So this has all come full circle with Cadsuane joining Rand at that Lord's manor house and where they were staying. Cadsuane was the one that sort of took care of his brother. I use inverted quotes that people on the podcast can't see, but she helped Emerin. But then the weird thing is that when Lord Algarin goes to the Black Tower, people start calling him Emerin. He takes his brother's name and becomes full Usherman and is around until the end, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Joe, speaking of manor houses, the house that set on fire from Adrin turning into lava was made of wood, not stone. So the whole front of the building that burns is because in the beginning of the book, Rand describes the house and it's all these thick logs. It's like a wooden manor, and inside it's all pine boards and stuff, which is why the whole front of the building set on fire.
Wow. I read that, my mental image of that manor house was completely different to that. I saw stone all the way. Yeah. I wonder if I read manor house and had a preconceived idea and just glossed over the description.
Probably. You wouldn't imagine a manor house looking like an oversized log cabin.
No. First time.
But that's how Rand describes it in chapter 1.
I got that to be wood and all the rest.
Oh, it would have been so much cooler if it was
10
stone.
podcast points. 10 podcast points.
I don't know if you... Thank you. I'll put that into the bag with all of the other 10 points I've received over time.
Hang on to those, Bruce. They're going to increase in value.
Yes, I'm hoping, like my crypto investment, it will also go to zero and turn to nothing.
You want to start a meme coin, the Blood and Ashes meme coin?
There we go. Sell it right off the webpage.
Getting into the crypto space. Let's monetize this. AI!
We were banding about some half remembered facts about Tam and Abel Cawthon where they were hiding in Eamon's Field when Perrin came back there. The chapter Vil is called It's in the Shadow Rising, book 4.
Oh, I love that book.
Chapter 30 is called Beyond the Oak.
Yes.
And in that chapter, Marin Alvear takes Perrin and his crew to the old sick house to go hide out. And there they meet first Thomas and Ivan, and then Verin and Alana. And later Tam and Abel come join them there. It's funny, I went and read that section. Bran Alvear says to Perrin and those guys, maybe you guys can go hide out in the old sick house. And then Marin has a reaction. She's like, don't you worry about this, I'll take care of it. Yeah. Because she and the women's circle have already stashed the Aes Sedai in the old sick house.
It's currently occupied.
Yeah. And Tam and Abel were hiding in the woods. And
why they would call it a sick house. Someone's got a fever, get out of town, go to the sick house.
Yeah, I think it was exactly that.
Yeah.
Like a quarantine. Yeah. It's also in that very next chapter that we find out that Tam and Abel had gone to the White Tower. And they sort of come meet them there at the sick house.
Is that where they sent Nynaeve, or what was it, Egwene, who had bone... What's that? Bone fever.
Breakbone fever.
Were they in the sick house?
Maybe. Maybe.
If only I wasn't so busy being a businessman, I would have cured my breakbone fever. Bonitis.
Yeah, bonitis. My only regret is that I had breakbone fever. Joe, you were right. It was around Eamon's Field where Alana had just lost her warder. He was called Owen, or Owen, Owein, and he was killed by White Cloaks in the Two Rivers.
Goddamn White Cloaks.
Immediately prior to that event, yeah. All right, now on to one of our favorite recent mysteries, Masema and leaving Perrin's camp. What the F happened there? Now, I've got some details for us, all of which are completely undermined by what I read today or in this chapter. But anyway, let's go through my notes.
You've prepared it, so you're doing it.
Yes, exactly. Because we can revisit it when we read the other thing. Yeah. So Masema doesn't seem to have left immediately after the battle, which is what my interpretation of Tylee Kirghan's report was, that Masema and his men had escaped. Tylee reports that most of his men are dead, but he and about 100 survivors cut a line through the Shido to reach the ridge. So I guess my interpretation of that was they didn't reach Malden, they reached a ridge somewhere. And, you know, Masema was literally climbing a ridge when we meet him in that prologue when Fail kills him. Like, it starts with him scrabbling up his hands, tearing, like, you know, funnels in the dirt. But Tylee specifically doesn't say that they escaped or ran away. She's just saying that he cut with some of his men away through the Shido. When Perrin hears that, he grinds his teeth and he thinks the man was back, surrounded by his rabble. It would be his word against Masema's about Aram's reason for trying to kill Perrin. So Perrin is sort of like, okay, cool. Masema is not isolated. He's surrounded by his men again. I'm not going to be able to like court-martial him or anything like that because it's my word against his word. Like, he can just say, oh, no, I didn't say anything to Aram, you know, like that sort of thing. So Perrin at least is expecting them to still be interacting. Yeah. Right? So Perrin hasn't like come to the conclusion that I had, that they'd run away. He was like, oh, okay, cool. Now I can't basically accuse him of that anymore. So they could feasibly have joined, so that's Masema and his men, could have joined Perrin's group again and slunk away later, meaning that Fail would have had time to be brought up to speed and plan for an intercept when Masema offered the opportunity. So like Ian's comments last time was like, Fail just came out of captivity and then straight away went and intercepted this like seasoned soldier and his troops and killed them, like she's unstoppable. But it seems like there could be some time. So what I'm doing here is basically creating reasonable doubt for my original theory, right? So nothing at this point contradicts the possibility of there being some additional time. In terms of getting ahead of them, Idara, who is the wise one, or one of the wise ones with Perrin, likely knows the weave for traveling since she is previously associated with Amis and Soralia, and Egwene had taught the wise one Dreamwalkers traveling and other weaves as repayment for her training in Tel'aran'rhiod. So that's already happened quite a while ago. It's why Soralia could teach the weave to Cadsuane. That's where she learnt it, from Egwene. And Idara, and here specifically someone else in this current book, I think, thinks about how she had repaid the Dreamwalkers, plural. So there are multiple wise ones to whom Egwene has taught traveling. So potentially one of these wise ones who has been associating with Amis and Soralia would know how to cast a gateway as well, and cast D&D talk again, how to weave a gateway and then go intercept Masema and his men. Idara also very clear in her advice about Masema, saying that he should be put down like a rabid dog, right? So
right.
Yeah, she was very, very vocal about that.
Masema thinks to himself in his POV that the Dragon Reborn had appeared to him the night before the battle, not the night before, which would surely be the way to describe, like, if it was the next day, immediately after the battle, you know, like, Masema wouldn't think to himself that the Dragon Reborn had appeared to him the night before the battle, when that night was the previous night. You're confused, Joe?
So confused.
If you and I, Jody, went out for beers last night, and then you and I were talking today about something that happened when we were out, would you say the last night or the night we went out for beers?
Yeah, I'd say last night. Okay, I get you.
Now, if we went for beers a week ago, would you say 7 nights ago or the night we went for beers.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. I'm back on board.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Masema himself is thinking that, the dragon reborn appeared to him the night before the battle.
Yeah.
Not last night. So it implies a passage of time. This is me again, like I'm saying, just creating reasons for, or reasonable doubt. And then also Masema and his men in the battle with the Shido they're lancers, right? They were on horseback and that sort of stuff. Masema used to be a lancer in his soldiering days. And here, where these guys are scrabbling up this ridge before Egwene gets to them, none of them have horses. I thought that maybe some of them got hit by arrows and fell from their horses or something, but I went and I read that whole section again, and no, they're scrabbling up a ridge. Yeah. So anyway, all of that is to say, it looks like there is space for the assumption that there was some time between the two.
I like the Altara one.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. But if it were
no
so,
mention
why
of
not
wise
just
ones
tell us?
with Fail though. Yes,
it's cool.
The only people mentioned to be with Fail when she commits the act is the Chafail that are with her, and men with bows in the trees. And those are Two Rivers men, right? Like, absolutely. But no mention of wise ones or anything like that. But Masema might be just not see them because they were hidden in the trees, or just not paying attention.
Yeah, you don't see an
island
unless they want you to.
Shot with arrows. Yes.
Unless you really go and you need to explore. I mean, we're doing deep dives and we're going really into the fluidity of the story and how everything ties together. But if you were to read that as a first-time reader, you'd go like, stoked. She killed him. Good job, and move on to the story.
Yeah.
So
mourning
I think that often there is just to save pages. You don't have to have a full explanation to the events.
Oh, totally.
That just get to the point. This guy has outlived his purpose, and the person that is to kill him is failed.
And he's not so beloved a character that people are expecting like a proper send-off. Like, we don't care. Please, just kill him. And let's move on. We are grateful that you did it. Yeah.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah.
Moving on.
I mentioned
Next,
Ian before,
Gavin.
but Ian had made another comment in the last episode about how we were sort of saying, like, well, Paden Fane had an effect on Elaida, and Elaida caused all the rifts in the tower and all that stuff. And Ian was saying those rifts between the Argers were there before Elaida was even Amelin. And in our chapters tonight, Swan admits as much as well. She says those cracks were there when she was the Amelin. She starts blaming herself, like, could I have done better to sort of keep the Argers together and that sort of thing. So yeah, Ian, your comment backed up straight away by the Amelin seat in charge immediately before Elaida. So spot on.
Just good chapters to come.
Oh, yes. Joe, when you so blithely wrote off the blue Arger and said, what is their whole thing? They focus on causes. I mean, that's so blasé and so like vague. I went and I was like, okay, that is true. Let me go read what they're all about again. And it was specifically causes of righteousness and justice.
Oh, well, in that case.
There is a slight narrowing of the focus there, not an awful lot. But what's also interesting is that they are the second smallest Arger. The whites are the smallest, and then the blues. The reds are the biggest.
Ooh. Everyone wants to kill men.
Interesting, hey? But I was not the only person that reacted to Jody's comment about the blue Argers. Many people did, including friend of the show and friends of us in person, Kerry Katz, who sent in a voice note that goes like this.
Jody, how dare you say the blue Arger shouldn't exist? The blue Arger is like MI5, CIA. They've got to go into the world and sort things out, like world shit. Who else does that? Everyone else just sits in the tower, towering about, or goes to Ilion and sits in the palace or Tyr or somewhere. These guys are the ones that are out in the world, actually keeping their finger on the pulse and, finding the dragon reborn.
I, for one, am fully with Kez, and I'm just going to say, Jody, how dare you? How very dare you?
I'm being forced to make a public apology now. I retract my statement.
Written.
I'm gonna temper Kerry's rebuttal, Joe, just a little bit, saying like there are some other archers that are out in the world doing shit and not just, as she puts it, towering about, which is a great way of putting on what a lot of them actually do.
Tomorrow, I'm towering.
I mean, the Reds are out there, right? Yeah. Looking for men who can channel and gentling in them.
And I get it.
Yeah, out there. Unfortunately. I think a lot of Browns are also out there collecting information, with their little Charles Darwin notebooks, drawing pictures of things, taking little notes, maybe like seeking out knowledge and that sort of stuff. But
that
the Greys are out there negotiating in cities between kings and stuff.
Probably, like boring stuff.
Yeah, but things that affect everybody. There's lots of people are working out of the tower here.
But Kez ends on a pretty good clincher. Like they're out in the world finding the Dragon Reborn.
Yes,
yeah, pretty important one.
The difference comes in now when I've got that specification of justice and righteousness, right?
Yes,
I didn't know that. I thought they could just choose whatever cause they wanted to. Save the whales or something.
Well, saving the whales is a worthy cause, Jody. Now you're going to upset all the environment.
Nice. First it's against the blue archer, now it's shading on whales. All right, let's move on before Jody completely alienates himself from our listeners. The omen that Tuon sees is a small brown bird, likely a finch, that takes flight, and it circles Matt 3 times before flying off. I was like, whoa, yeah, that is quite a Taveran sort of thing, it circles specifically Matt.
Yeah, it's an omen.
So yeah, definitely. The maidens beat the shit out of Rand in Path of Daggers. So not even that long ago for us. Book 8. After he leaves them behind for the fight with the Seanchan. So the big assault on the Seanchan with the Ashaman that culminates in him using Kalandor and killing some of his own people and all that stuff. When he comes back to wherever they're staying, Rand and Min walk into their rooms, and there's a whole bunch of maidens in the hallway outside the door. In fact, they're queued up so far that they stretch out beyond the corner of the corridors on either side of the door. So an obscene amount of maidens. Min is like, what is going on here? And they're playing rock, paper, scissors. Or what do they call it? Knife, paper, stone. And she says a lot of people are looking at it very intently. And she's like, oh, that's weird. And they walk in the room. And then shortly after that, while Rand is taking off his shirt, over his head, his shirt is over his head, when 3 maidens, including Nandira, who took over from Siuan at one point, start kicking the shit out of him and avoid the wound on his side. And it is because of that slight that he went out in that battle without any maidens. So, yeah, it is actually not that long ago in the story that they did that.
So they're rock, paper, scissoring outside to see who gets the honor of beating him up.
To see who goes in there to kick the shit out of him. Yes. I wonder if Nandira was sort of a default as the leader of the maidens in that.
She doesn't have to rock,
time,
paper,
scissors. And then 2 others get to win rock, paper, scissors to go kick the shit out of Rand.
Yeah, it's who's coming with me.
Mm-hmm. Sticking with the Aiel, the Miagoma were one of the last clans to join Rand and could quite possibly have been the very last. Them and a couple others are sort of, when Rand has gathered some of the clans and they go through the Jangai Pass.
Yes.
The Miagoma and some Timilan with his Miagoma are tracking a day behind them, never committing to joining them until after they get to Cairhien. So yes, Joe, they were the last to join, and that's why they are likely the first to leave again. Because we were talking about, or Brandon was talking about how Timilan was not enjoying this kidnapping mission that Rand was giving them and how they're being treated and stuff. So the wise ones are talking about how they need to be kept in check and how they need to be kept close. Then a quick clarification. When Willie said Sleet lost his Aes Sedai at Dumai's Wells, he meant that they were separated and not that she died. Hattori is alive and well in Dorland, which is why Sleet is there.
Yeah, he lost her, physically. Oh shit, where are you?
Yes,
misplaced her. Don't know where you are. Misplaced her.
Yes. But I think he also misplaced a lot of his own blood. He
my
was heavily
language
injured.
developed to the point there, if someone died, I said, she dead.
To avoid any confusion.
There will be no ambiguity. No.
This is exactly what happened to the Entwives. I was watching that in Lord of the Rings. That's why there are no more Ents, because they literally lost them in the world. They don't know where they are. So they can't have any more Ent babies.
No.
I have many theories about that, Joe. We'll talk about it another day.
In the Lord of the Rings podcast.
Yes.
Okay, now, the sad bracelets and their copies. Joe, I think you were asking about Sorelea mentioned that there's others, and where did these come from, and what the hell are we talking about? So, when the Sean-Chan took the sad bracelets off Egwene and Domon, they were likely copied. In fact, that's the only place that they could have been copied. I don't know who amongst the Sean-Chan could do that. Except Anath. At the time.
Oh, shit. Yeah, she probably could.
Was around. So, who knows? Anyway, that's me wildly speculating because Cadsuane and Sorelea have a very sort of, very basic conversation about it here. Cadsuane theorizes that the original, or the originals, could have been, quote-unquote, used as a pattern. And that's all she says. She doesn't say that they were copied, but when she says they were taken, because she talks about Nynaeve and Nynaeve being familiar with them and sending them off with Egwene and Domon to be destroyed or lost, she was critical of Nynaeve for not seeing them destroyed physically with her own eyes. And then when the Sean-Chan took them, they could have used them as a pattern. Then, because along with the set in this box, there are 5 other copies stored elsewhere, also taken off the Sean-Chan and Semirhage after their failed attempt at capturing Rand. So 6 sets of domination bands were captured in total by Cadsuane and the group here. Cadsuane kept 1 set and the copies are somewhere else.
Which seems like people investigating them, like with Kalandor and stuff. She's got all those groups.
Yes. Which is a pretty big fucking, I don't know what else to call it, but like a Chekhov's gun, like there are these 5 domination bands floating around out there that are still very usable.
Destroy them. Just introduce another option into this. We have a chosen who takes great pride and pleasure in torturing anything she can. So any reason why she doesn't have the ability to make such a band?
Well, in our next episode, which I only know because I read those chapters today, Semirhage talks about working with these Terangriel. But the Adam were invented in Sean-Chan thousands of years after Semirhage was locked and sealed in the boar. Right? So at some point since coming out of the boar, she must have been working on these. Now, she was with the Sean-Chan for a long time as Anath, right? So, like, that's where she spent the majority of her time. So, she would have had access to Adam. And potentially, after they were taken off Egwene and Domon, potentially also have access to the
right
side
up
bracelets.
her alley to have a massive interest in this. This is what
it's
she
got Semirhage
really
written all over them.
I think
all
we're
over.
forgetting
So
the simplest point here, and that is that the Sean-Chan know how to make them. Because they make them all the time. Every time they capture new Damane, they're going to have to make more bands. And
and made all the ones that exist already.
Not for male.
It's not like they have a stockpile. I think that they make them new every time they get more Damane and have more demand.
Well, they would have to, because the first Aes Sedai that made the first one was then very shortly afterward collared in one. Yes.
So they know how to make.
So they would have to keep making them exactly,
anyway.
And so that's maybe what Cadsuane means. Like they could have used it as a pattern, right? So, but what we're saying now is that Semirhage might have had direct access to them.
All right.
That Aes Sedai is still alive, and that Aes Sedai is still collared, making those things on the production line as a
thousands of
grey person. It's like thousands of years later, churning them out.
Well, okay, now I'm gonna have to go do the callback to see how long ago Arthur Hawkwing's family set out across the Arath Ocean, but the Aes Sedai in Sean-Chan did not swear on the 3 oaths. Or did not swear the 3 oaths on an oath rod. So their lives would not be limited. That's why Olivia and other channelers from the Wise Ones and the Sea Folk would live a lot longer than the Aes Sedai. So maybe 1,000 years old, maybe.
Or maybe she just 1,000 years been churning them out, and there's such a big stockpile of it. They're like, just another 10. Keep going.
And we've talked before about.
My fingers are worked to the bone. Literally.
We've talked before about what are the effects of being being collared your whole life. Could it perhaps prolong your life? And the fact that they're Aes Sedai and not bound by the Oath Rod, channeling so much, they could potentially live 1,000 years. Maybe that's
Perhaps.
one of the side effects or bonuses, depending on which side you're on. Of the bands.
Of the Adam.
Yeah, of the Adam.
Maybe. Time will tell. Maybe. Or not. I don't know. Listeners, write in. Yes. Sticking to Terangriel, or Ungriel in general, I guess, Rand does use Calandor to split and deflect balefire at the end of the Dragon Reborn in his fight with Ishamael. And then lastly, the Aiel maiden that Willie called Corona was called Corana. So it was real close. Well, someone with dyslexia absolutely can get away with calling her Corona. But that's enough from me. So let's hear now from our listeners, starting with Magnus, who writes in the following. I'm nearly caught up to you on episode 115 now. I'm on my second read-through of the books, and you guys are a great companion on the journey, helping tease out all sorts of things I missed or didn't understand. It's particularly helpful to have the cross-referencing of all the names, as I never managed to keep track of them all and where they have previously cropped up, which is good for us too, right? Like, it's why I sometimes do a little contextualization for the characters that we don't know as well or haven't seen in a while and stuff. I'll sometimes just throw in, remember this is the one that XYZ, or remember this is the dark friend, and blah blah, because I mean there are just too many characters to keep track of. So yeah, Magnus, this is somewhat self-serving as well. It's for me to sort of like crystallize those characters in my brain. Also enjoying the occasional bit of rugby banter, though we won't be supporting the same team, and the recent dad jokes. I impressed my teenage daughter, I think, with the one about combining the DNA of crabs and cheetahs. I think that was a Danny special, wasn't it?
That
was
Danny.
It Danny's joke that he told you? Yeah. Anyway, on to business. I have a comment and a question based on episode 114. The comment, you talked about the foolishness of Rand walking into the known trap with Semirhage. What I cannot believe is Semirhage's hubris at going to meet Rand with only 3 Damane. I know you have talked before about the general stupidity and arrogance of the Dark Friends and Forsaken many times, but come on, I have literally lost track of how many of the Forsaken have been defeated in one-on-one encounters with Rand, and some more than once. And this time Rand didn't even contribute. Semirhage was captured by the others while he was out cold.
I would like to answer that.
It's true.
Because
yes, please.
I've got multiple points of perspective to this. Mm-hmm. The Aes Sedai that lived in the Age of Legends were not in warfare. They lived in a peaceful utopia. They spent their hours and time making cool gadgets, MP3s, until the shit went awry. So they are not used to, even the Chosen are not used to face up to people that have gotten their power, and all they've used it for, and this is referring to Rand, is to kill others that can channel. That's all Rand's done with his power, apart from cleaning the source so that they can be sane and kill. So it's a complete juxtaposed position of what has been done, in my opinion.
I mean, I think you're giving them a big out. The War of Power had a lot of warring with the power, right? So like a lot of talk about not just one or two of them, but like Samael was a great general.
The War of Power lasted
general.
So long because they started first using the power to pick up a rock and throw at each other because they weren't used to making war.
I don't think that holds water either. Just think back to Lews Therin, and remember Lews Therin.
Yeah, but that's at the end when they started figuring shit out. Like, how long was the War of Power? 100 years? 200 years?
Remember, they can live a long time, first of all, right? So the War of Power was, I don't know how, there's a separate war that is the War of 100 Years, officially named that, so it's not the same one.
War of the Shadows. Trolloc Wars.
And I mean, we've seen Lews Therin with like fire arrows and death blossoms and death gates, and I know they're not called death blossoms. That's still a Last Starfighter reference. So I see your theory. I can't give it the Forsaken as we have seen them in this series are extremely adept at the one power, and they have to assume that, I guess maybe at least Rand can counter them. Maybe they assume that the Aes Sedai of this age have not only used the power as a weapon, but never use it as a weapon. Right? Like, they explicitly swear on a binding rod that they won't use it as a weapon. So I guess that does add into why maybe the hubris. There's certainly a lot of disdain, right? Like, these people are idiots. They don't know what the fuck they're doing about anything, let alone war.
They ride on horses and walk and sleep in the cold. Like, that's
but the Forsaken also know about the other Forsaken dying. You know, like,
yeah.
we're a couple of years into them, like, getting picked off.
They celebrate it, though. Yeah, because it's like, I'm one closer. It's like Highlander. Like, oh, his head got chopped off. I'm closer to eternal.
Okay, but one final rebuttal to that theory. The cleansing of the source at Shadow Logoth. Yeah. Rand himself was not doing anything. He was busy cleansing the source. The Forsaken, multiple of them, came up against groups of Aes Sedai and Ashaman and Windfinders, and I don't think there were any Aiel. No. So these were all channelers of this age with no help from Lews Therin with his memories from the Age of Legends, and like a bunch of them attacked at the same time when Rand was vulnerable, and still some of them died and they made no effect. So I don't know if they can just assume that everyone that they're going to fight against it would be very stupid for them to assume that when the record shows, like Magnus is saying,
they are.
They're very emotional people. They don't think logically like us, Moritz. Like, look at all the facts of the previous. Look at all the data coming in that we have to analyze. They just react on emotion and think, well, that guy was an idiot. This never happened to me. He didn't know how to deal with it. It could be written off like that. Sure, it's a bit lazy, but hey.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about.
What they're also not doing, what they're not doing, right? Like, the Forsaken are not just attacking the White Tower and killing all the Aes Sedai. Yeah. There is some level of recognition that there is risk involved for them exposing themselves and, attacking without any kind of subterfuge or anything like that. Just like a full-blown brazen attack is not something that they can
are still alive.
Yes. Yes.
So they are clever ones. They're the ones that are not doing what the others are doing.
So yeah, Magnus, the only thing I can say is, like, the arrogance is their undoing, almost to a fault. Well, not to a fault, to a person, right? Like, every single one of the Forsaken is arrogant, and then they die. Magnus's other question is, why has Lelaine stopped chasing Perrin? Was there a specific moment or event that caused it in the text? It is heavily emphasized, and we keep being told that she no longer smells like a hunting she-wolf or whatever. But being after such a bitch about it, Magnus didn't say bitch, he only put 5 asterisks. I'm going to say bitch about it for so many books. It just seems to suddenly stop being a thing.
No, it didn't stop.
There was a moment.
She had Perrin in the
Willie is the wrong person to ask
got
this.
Away. They
He's not going to let go of his little
everyone saw it, and everyone knows. And it's like Berry Babe and Perrin, and now, I've spoken at length about this.
Yes.
So, Jody, real answer.
Please.
Nobody believes me now. He's starting to see the picture. He does.
No. You're not getting in my head, bro.
Do you have any theories, Joe?
No, I do not. Willie has completely thrown me.
It is true.
With the truth.
I feel like after Fail's kidnapping, when Perrin does spend a night in Berelaine's tent and nothing happens, I feel like she backs off. Like, maybe there is a couple days between that specific event of being brought back to her tent, but Perrin's sort of like single-minded focus on Fail. Maybe she actually just gave up, and maybe, she thought of it as like sport, like this is just a challenge that she set herself. And with Fail being kidnapped and Perrin being 100% focused on rescuing her, maybe it's just not appropriate, because Berelaine she's not an awful person, right? Like, she's not. Used what tools she has at her disposal for a very long time to keep Mayene safe, right? So it's hard to break out of that pattern. But when Perrin makes it absolutely clear that he's searching for Fail, she does back off. And maybe she also wants like a fair contest. She wants to beat Fail at that game. And with Fail out of the picture, this is no longer sport.
The game was never about Perrin. Perrin is handsome and big and brave, what he is, the game was against Fail. It was a thing with Fail. And she's removed. So what was there to gain out of it? So that does make a lot of sense in all of that.
And I think it was right about
she even
then.
says in the beginning that Perrin isn't really her type. I think she says it to Fail, like he's too big and hairy or something like that. But she's going to do it just because of what Fail, has sort of like challenged her with. She's
flashing her daggers in the hallways in the Stone of Tyr.
Yes. And she judo throws her. Yeah.
Got her ass handed to her.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Joe?
Judo chop. Judo throws.
Magnus has a plausible explanation. He goes, I think she was really battling Fail, and once she has the success of tricking everyone into thinking she has slept with Perrin, which Magnus is saying she feels like she had success there, she sees that it is having a detrimental effect on Perrin standing with the whole army, and it's not just a petty squabble with Fail, and decides to stop there rather than break the army apart, which is sort of along the lines of what we're saying as well, which makes sense. He says, but is there any evidence in the holy text, or is she about to start up again when Fail is back on the scene? God, I hope not. I also hope not, Magnus, but let's see. I don't know how long it is now. Vil, you've almost finished the book, but I know that when they meet up with the Renegade White Cloaks...
It gets saucy. It's
does it? Does Galad come into the scene in this book?
No, Galad. No, it's. I think as far as I remember, it was Fail, and Bulwer, and Perrin, and Lelaine all in the tent, and it got sweaty and nasty.
Wow! Can't wait.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks, Magnus. Keep those mails coming. Now, gentlemen, get comfortable, because Angela writes in for the second time, but she sends in her magnum opus, right? This is
I like that.
A text message she sent via the website, and it is large. So Angela says, hello, Angela from London, long-time listener, second-time poster, and this one is a doozy. Heads up, Angela, I cut it down just a smidge. It was 3 pages long in my notes when I pasted the text into a Google Doc, so it was a huge one. I've only trimmed very little, but
all you got to do is just smaller the font. Then it all fits to one. Then you can't read it. You got glasses now.
Oh, yeah.
She says, I chuckled when Moritz called out the differences in Brandon Sanderson's writing and how they can grate sometimes. Boy, how pissed off are you going to be when Matt starts saying bloody ashes instead of blood and ashes? Although the OG Matt does say blood and bloody ashes at least once. I feel like you need to campaign that the latest editions are corrected in your honor. It's only the name of your podcast after all. Hi, Harriet.
Noted.
Tor. Go fix your books. Our podcast is called Blood and Ashes, not Bloody Ashes. Bloody Ashes was the first thing that irritated me most about Brandon Sanderson's writing, and the new Matt starts saying this all the time. Ugh. If I had a braid, I'd give it a firm tug. Okay, so I might need to give some context on why I seem to jump around on your podcast for fun. For fun, I am attempting to write an old-school text adventure game set in the Wheel of Time universe. At this stage, it's mainly research, because why the hell did I pick this enormous universe to start with? So what I'm doing is creating a database of every character and every opinion they have ever shared or thought about anything. No. So imagine... 5 pages may take me 3 hours, but only when, the characters talk a lot, which is all the time. Wow, Angela, heads. I thought we took on a big project, but dang. She continues. So, I'm now on Winter's Heart, and I'm so close to double digits, but this research is taking years, no joke. So all of that is to say, not only am I picking apart all the books and New Spring, of course, but I'm absorbing all the Wheel of Time content that I can. I mean, so many things are open to interpretation. So of course, I've obsessively listened to every Wheel of Time podcast I can get access to as well. I love your podcast. I love Moritz's pedantry. It's like you're doing what I'm doing, but in podcast form. Someone else said it recently, but listening to you guys just feels like being at home with my closest friends, having a good time, chat about life, the universe, and everything. So I've listened to every episode of yours, and I'm just jonesing for the next new episode. In one of your recent-ish episodes, Moritz, I think, proposed a theory that the gaps in Mat's memory are the necessary result of what the Aes Sedai had to do to break Mat's connection with the dagger / Mordeth. Like, if Mat remembers nothing about the dagger, he will no longer be drawn to it. I usually agree with Moritz on most things, and it's an interesting theory. I like it. I'm going to pause there and say, I don't remember having that theory. Now, that does not mean that I did not say it with confidence on this podcast, but I was like, oh, okay, cool. That is an interesting take. And then, apparently this was my theory.
It's news to me.
Okay. So, Angela says, I've always been of the opinion that the gaps in Mat's memory are from when Mordeth is in control. Mat's not really Mat in certain moments, like on Bail Dorman's boat when Mat is just sitting there being weird, just obsessing over the dagger. Mat's not quite Mat, and more impactful perhaps when Mat attempts to stab Moiraine with a dagger when the gang are all back together for the first time in Caemlyn and he's saying all sorts of weird things. Mat's definitely not Mat. I would bet good money that Mat has no memory of that either. So I don't think he has no memory of moments with the dagger per se. My opinion is that the gaps in his memory are the occasions when Mordeth is gaining control and that Mat is not Mat. Sounds plausible. Like so that the memories they took out are the ones that Mat wasn't creating. It was more of a Mordeth influence. And the reason I can't support Moritz's theory? Well, the infamous Millie Skane makes her second appearance in A Crown of Swords chapter 14, and Mat eventually recognizes her as the woman who tried to kill them while they slept in a stable near Caemlyn, but long after Shadow Logoth. He remembers her and what she tried to do. Therefore, he must surely remember that the reason she didn't kill them is because Mat had the ruby dagger to her throat. He doesn't think, back in Crown of Swords, when he finally remembers her, hey, I don't remember how we got out of that alive. I think I'm right, and he does have memories of the dagger, so I'm backing my theory. All right, Angela, that's more than a theory. It's explicitly stated in the book. In the chapter you refer to in Crown of Swords, Mat sees Millie Skane gambling at the racetrack before he follows her. So when he sees her, he remembers the exact text from the Eye of the World. It's printed out in full, in italics, including... Dropping flat, he seized her wrist, just pushing it away from him, the curved Shadow Logoth blade sweeping out to lie against her slim white neck. So yes, he definitely remembers the dagger, and that is immediately followed by, just carrying that Shadow Logoth knife had nearly killed him, eating those holes in his memories, but how could he forget a woman that tried to kill him? I think this fits Angela's theory, since Mat thinks the dagger ate holes in his memory, which we could easily interpret as Mordeth coming to the fore and Mat not being Mat, right? So like Mat's blaming the dagger, not the Aes Sedai, of creating the holes in his memory, which, you know, if you overlay that with Angela's theory about like when Mordeth was taking over, Mat wasn't generating memories. Years ago, I read that when you get really blackout drunk, right, you drink too much, it's not that you can't remember. It's that your body stops creating memories. It turns off the record button when you black out. So this is sort of like that. What Angela's posing is that when Mordeth is in control, the Mat memories aren't being created. Mordeth memories were being created. And by separating Mat from the dagger, those memories went away. So Mat blaming the dagger and Angela blaming Mordeth is one and the same thing. So, yeah, I actually quite like that theory. That feels closer to what my sort of general feeling around it was. But again, I mean, that episode was a long time ago now, so who knows what I said.
Yeah.
So Angela finishes up, or no, she doesn't finish up. Angela continues and she says, by the way, in that stable scene all the way back in the Eye of the World, I really don't think anyone gives Mat enough credit, and I want to give him a well-deserved shout-out. So Rand is really sick at this point with channeling sickness, although we don't know that yet, and is basically useless. Mat has to handle everything. He gets them the place in the stable, and when it's most critical, he saves Rand. All this he is doing whilst nearly succumbing to the dagger / Mordeth. In virtually the next scene, Mat is almost gone. Only Moiraine saves him from the brink. So I went and I checked the timeline. It's about 5 days later that they're in Caemlyn and he tries to stab Moiraine after Mat sort of like saves Rand's life and is really like checking Mat into that inn, getting a spot in the stables and stuff. So yeah, Mat was super far under the influence of the dagger already at that point. So Mat is pretty far gone that night in the stable. Because of that, it must have taken a gargantuan effort from Mat to achieve all that. I never hear anyone mention it, and I think it's because everyone dislikes this Mat period. I think there's a tendency to want to get through it to the part where Mat is healed and Mat is Mat again. I think he is an absolute badass in that moment. I'd say hero, but he's no bloody hero. I also have something to say about Morgana Morghese that I would be interested to hear you guys' thoughts on, but I'm going to have to leave that for another day. This is already an essay. I hope it is an interesting read at least. Incredible effort, Angela. Thanks for that.
That was a wild ride.
The first thing I'm going to say is the dedication and the fact that someone is building a game or a world based on this, because it's been done in many fantasy lore already. There's multiple, as everyone knows, we love games. But to be able to step into this world, sitting in my, I put full support for that. That is amazing.
Yeah. Big time. And it also makes my fact checking a lot easier when Angela's quoting the chapters and the books in which certain events happen. I'm like, oh, thank God. I don't have to go Google it or find out and go trawling through chapter summaries. So awesome, Angela. Do send in the question about Morghese, and we will get to it as soon as you send it in.
Hey, and add any more interesting info with it as well. Whatever else
100%. 100%. And I was just going to say, it feels really cool knowing that there are other people out there that are also putting are putting effort into our show, which is awesome. Yeah, it's so great. Thanks, Angela. On to our last contribution for today, which is the original voice note that Kerry Katz sent me, and that goes like this.
Hi guys, Kerry here. Haven't messaged for a while, but I have been listening along, and as always, you're doing a great job. 2 quick points from me. One is that in episode 50, where Rowan and I guested, we discussed that Matt was given the letter by Moraine with her seal on to give to Tom, and he gave that to Tom. And at the time, I raised that when Matt gives it later in the book, Matt's wondering who this letter's from that Tom's always reading. And I raised in episode 50 that Matt should know who that letter's from. And we said we'd pick it up when we got to this point. And I think you guys did say we discussed it a lot, but didn't really go over the fact that Matt should know who that letter is from because he gave it to Tom. Yes. Anyway, other quick little point is that in the most recent episode, you guys are talking about Rand seeing the swirling colours and Matt, and how he sees Matt with this dark-haired girl's no longer around, and he thinks of her like that. And I was thinking he, at this point, should know who that girl is because he met Tuon he didn't meet Tuon, he met Semirhage, but disguised as Tuon. So he should recognise that actually that girl that was with Matt is the daughter of the Nine Moons. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Keep on keeping on. Cheers.
Thanks, Kerry, for keeping track of at least one of our many, many, many pins we put into things as the podcast goes along. Quite right. After Kerry sent that down, I was like, we did say at the time that we would dig into it when we get to it, and then we super didn't.
Seal. We spoke about the seal color changing as well. There was one reference.
The seal color change we spoke about. That one I still don't have any answers to.
Maybe that is. Maybe Matt thought the seal color changed, and then because he might have seen. Look, or Matt's colorblind.
Dude, but it's blue and red.
It's red and blue.
As a colorblind person, I may not be able to tell you what the names of those colors are, but I can tell they're different.
Maybe the blue is sort of purplish, Joe. I don't know.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
But
Gary's point specifically.
Yeah. What's purple?
Gary's point specifically is not that Matt didn't remember the color of the seal, but that he didn't know who the letter is from at all.
I have an explanation. By that time, it was so crumpled up that and creased and dirty from his hands that he didn't recognize it. It was impossible to recognize. Is what I could have been.
Okay. Well, lucky for you, I've done a bit of research.
He just forgot.
All right.
Are you guys done speculating? Go give me more guesses.
If you've done some research, then I'd like to hear it. I had one, but I forgot it.
We do this dance every time, Joe. I pose a question to you guys looking at paragraphs of text on my screen while you guys just wildly theorize, which is why I want you to theorize first before I give you at least what I found. And see
also,
if
second
there's
point,
any wiggle room.
Before you get to your research, is that when the colors swirl, it's not like seeing things in 4K. It's blurry and secondary, and you might not see Tuon's face clearly.
Maybe. He sees the large road behind them, but I guess that's easier to recognize than someone's facial features.
Yeah.
Okay, let's deal with that one quickly, because I think there's some leniency that we can give Rand, because firstly, he didn't see Semirhage disguised as Tuon for very long. She walked out of the house and then the vision was disrupted. Also, he's treating with the daughter of the Nine Moons already. Like, he's sending messages. Like, in his mind, this is the leader of the Seanchan Empire.
Yes.
Not some girl with
hanging
Matt
with
on
Matt.
a road in a forest, right? So, like, the context makes it unlikely and almost impossible that it would be the same person. So a combination of maybe not seeing her facial features in the swirling colors, not seeing her for very long when Semirhage was disguised as her, and the fact that is an absurd place for the daughter of the Nine Moons to be, with Matt and his traveling army. So, like, even if they resembled each other, he couldn't
this is like
put
the
two and two together.
Superman Clark Kent scenario. It's so obviously him, but it can't possibly be.
It can't, but not this nerd.
No.
All right, back to our original, now 70 episode old mystery.
Wow.
So, could Matt be expected to recognize the letter Tom is reading over and over again is the same one that Moiraine handed over? And I specifically don't say hand it over to Matt, because Moiraine does not give the letter to Matt. She gives it to Rand. So in Cairhien, before Moiraine goes through the redstone doorway with Lanfear, she gives Rand 2 letters. One for Rand, and Rand's like, why are you giving me a letter? You can always just talk to me. And she's like, there's things in there I want you to contemplate, but at a later stage. And the other letter is for Tom. And Rand takes both of them. It's 63 days later. In Camelin, Rand sends Matt to meet up with Elaine in Saladar. And he says she'll be with Tom, so Matt should give him this letter. And he hands the letter over to Matt. Months later, he says, give this to Tom. Matt didn't recognize the seal, a spreading tree topped with a crown, which is the sigil of House Damodred. Right, so regardless of the color, Matt says when Rand gives him this letter, he doesn't connect this letter with Moiraine. So therefore, when Tom shows the letter to Matt 134 days after that,
Jesus,
Matt thinks Tom sat reading the letter Matt had brought him what seemed like very long time ago, and he had said it was from a dead woman. So when Rand gives Matt the letter to give to Tom, firstly, Matt doesn't recognize the letter at all.
Right.
And then he gives it to Tom, and then it's like a long time since then, and Tom's like, this came from a dead woman. So maybe Matt could have pieced it together, but I feel like there's enough time passing for him to not connect all the dots, especially if he's distracted and not paying attention to who's giving letters to whom and like what they look like, right? So Moiraine didn't give it to him. It's not like he had it with him for a long time. Rand gave it to him in Camelin, sent him to Saladar, and then he gave it to Tom. And 130 days later, Tom still got this letter. And Matt's like, wow, I gave him that letter a long time ago. I wonder who it's from. Some dead woman. So it didn't have that connection to Moiraine. Okay, that's it from both me and the listeners.
Yeah.
So now we can take care of a quick bit of recapping before we get into tonight's chapters in Previously on Blood and Ashes. Aviendha is busy doing embarrassing tasks set for her as punishment from the Wise Ones, but she can't figure out for what. She's pondering this outside the manor house Rand is currently based in when suddenly a soldier starts oozing super hot black tar that both kills him and sets the manor on fire. Aviendha and later Naif put out the fire by funneling water from a nearby river directly onto the fire using weaves of air. Maurice makes some disparaging remarks about the roughness of Aviendha's weaves, but Melaine arrives and tells Aviendha she was very skillful and that the Aes Sedai need to get lost. After the Aes Sedai has departed, Melaine quizzes Aviendha about Rand's order for the Aiel to kidnap the merchant council of Aradaman. Aviendha can't see that the Wise Ones are asking her to think like and even be a Wise One. Meanwhile, Egwene is bossing it in the White Tower. She finally gets a summons from Medani after the soup chat in Elaida's rooms, but first she needs to go see 3 other Aes Sedai. Brene asks her advice in a very roundabout, hypothetical way about being caught inquiring about the 13th depository. Nagora does something similar by asking advice as a logic puzzle, and Suana, a sitter for the Yellow, straight up tells Egwene to consider choosing the Yellow Archer. All 3 meetings are a raging success, and she can see the signs of her work taking root. She finally gets to Maidani, who can't answer Egwene's pointed questions about why she can't leave. Egwene deduces that she's bound by an oath, so she gets around it by having Maidani show her the reasons instead. She's too weak to form one, but she shows Maidani the way to create a gateway, and Maidani copies Egwene to take them to the basement where the Black Aja hunters remaining in the tower are waiting for Maidani to report back on her meeting with Egwene. She reprimands the sisters there for putting the fourth oath on the rebel ferrets and instructs them to remove them, but commends them for working well together and asks them to continue. Egwene handles them deftly with logic and leaves them stammering, and Maidani says to her she is really the Amyrlin. Meanwhile, Gawain is conflicted, and after hearing from Catherine Elrodin about what Egwene is being put through in the tower, he finally decides to leave and go help Egwene instead. Sleet catches him leaving but doesn't try to stop him. Back in Aradoman, Cadsuane and her Aes Sedai are having no luck with Semirhage, so she calls in Sorilea. Almost immediately, Sorilea has some effect on Semirhage by making her seem like a disappointingly human antagonist. After blindfolding and gagging the Forsaken again, Sorilea asks to see the sad bracelets. Cadsuane shows her, and they agree Rand is not ready for the last battle and start planning on how to work on him together. Rand wakes up in a dream shard of Moradin's creation, but it turns out Rand made his own way there and Moradin didn't summon him. They have an existential chat, and Rand leaves with a crucial bit of info. Bale-fired Forsaken can't be resurrected like Moradin has been. Back in the waking world, Min gives Rand her theory about what Fell's advice regarding the resealing of the bore will entail, i.e. breaking the seals before starting afresh. Later, Dharma Flynn and Bashir return from the Seanchan where the Aiel were being baited by the Seanchan Damane, parading around, or the Suldam I should say, parading around the captured Shaido Wise Ones as Damane at the meeting. Amis asks Avienda what she thinks about Rand seeking to make a truce with the Seanchan, and Avienda agrees that while hard, Rand's approach is the correct one. Last battle first, Seanchan later. And that brings us to tonight's first chapter, which is chapter 16. Called In the White Tower. What is happening in the White Tower, Jody?
In the White Tower. Dudes, strap in. This is like 14 pages of notes. I might as well just have reread the chapter to you.
And what an innocuous chapter title, eh?
Yeah, she's in the White Tower. Yeah, I know. A whole bunch of people there. Egwene.
Rocking face.
is attending 3 whites. Ferrane, Miyasi, and Tessan. On Ferrane's balcony. I don't know if you pronounce it Ferrane.
I did.
This is the balcony I was referring to last time, where they thought it was strange that a white who focused on logic would love plants so much. Because I had read ahead, and I confused this chapter with the chapter that Willie was reading. Okay. Call back there, pin in it, and it's resolved. Done.
Oh,
she's cracking nuts for them. While they've been ignoring her for an hour. She thought when she got invited that something was going to happen, but nothing's happening. So did she misjudge them? Mm-hmm. But eventually they make their move and ask her what she would have done with the Dragon Reborn had she been Amyrlin in Elaida's place. Egwene identifies this as the little test that it is. Ferrane has heard about Egwene's shit talking of Elaida and wants to hear what she has to say. So instead of kidnapping him, transporting him in a box, and only taking him out for regular torture, she would have sent sisters to his hometown. Much more reasonable approach, I believe. To speak with his family and friends and find out what kind of man he is. Cautious? Is he quick to anger? Does he make friends easily? Was he a loner? Would you find him in the tavern or in the workshop? This is all hypothetical, of course. She was asked what she would have done if she were Elaida. But no, they ask her what she, Egwene, would have done. And Egwene, of course, Rand's lifelong friend. She tells him that Rand is a rational person, bullheaded for sure, but rational. But more importantly, he's a good man, with a good heart. So she would send sisters to guide him. And spies, if he rejected her guidance. There was backup. They don't like this. They just sit there spying and guiding while he runs wild. And she's like, yeah, that's exactly what the prophecy said he would do anyway. You've got to let him fulfill them. While running wild, he took Kalandor, he restored order in Cairhien, he united Tyr and Ilian, and he's obviously allied with Andor, who's got some good vibes, good connections there too. So he's done pretty well. So Mayasi chirps in and subjugated the Aiel, to which she heatedly replies, no one subjugates the Aiel. What Rand did was gain their respect. Trust me, I was there. I saw it. And she's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But
such a good flex. Like she talks about Rand, like she just calls him Rand. And she was actually there when this huge thing happened. Like, I was there, ladies. Just
Trust me.
Yeah, back down. Yeah.
But what she would have done is send a delegation to him, led by a grey, because it would be expected, a green, because they are perceived as the opposites of reds, and a blue, because of past favourable associations. And because blues are awesome. Don't you guys know?
Mm-hmm. Kerry?
What would we do without them? Ferrane points out that Elaida's delegation was also led by a grey, but Egwene points out that it was sent by a red, because let's face it, Elaida considers herself a red. So it was fundamentally flawed from the start. It was always going to be a bad result. And raising a red to the Amyrlin seat in the time of the Dragon Reborn seems like a silly idea. While the reds are good at dealing with men who can channel, that is not the same thing as working with men who can channel, which is required in this day and age. So everything the Tower has done so far has been very ham-fisted, when they are known for their subtlety. What happened to the subtlety of the Aes Sedai, guys? The whites are starting to crack. Even Ferrane admits that Egwene has a point. She's a sitter, remember, of the whites. Rand is a good man and should have been led to trust Aes Sedai, but instead he was shown that they will treat him like an unruly child. Now he has oath-sworn Aes Sedai and others bonded to Asha'man. Good job, Elaida. But the last point being a surprise to the other whites, not Ferrane as a sitter. Like, they didn't know about these Aes Sedai bonded to Asha'man. And they are quite shocked by this news, obviously. So Egwene dropping some truth bombs. But Egwene turns the topic from Rand. They can't worry about him right now. They need to get their house in order first. But even if she renounced her claim on the Amyrlin seat, it would not heal the Tower. Surely they, the whites, can see the importance of reuniting the factions in the Tower. It was not the whites or any other Arja that caused this rift. It was the current administration, apparently. She lists Elaida's faux pas. You can go read it. All the things that she's done. We all know that. We've gone over it a couple of times. Egwene says that she will not submit. She will continue to fight until Elaida is removed and the Tower healed, and you guys are going to help me. You should have seen this coming. Out of everybody, you whites should have seen this coming. So Tessan tries to palm this off onto the Greys. No, it should have been the Greys. But Egwene tells her, no, she already tried. She's spoken to the Greys. She's also met with the Yellows, who were very reasonable. She's working with some Browns, too. Got them doing some research. The Greens have been very stubborn, surprisingly. Which leaves the Reds, let's face it, not going to be successful. And the Blues, who have been banished. No. So now you, the Whites, that's it. I've got the list done. Now she's got all three of them. They're like, whoa, this chick has been maneuvering. So Ferrane leads forward and asks Egwene, what would you recommend? And Egwene's like, inside. Keep it together, woman. Keep it together. She's so stoked. She's got Ferrane. She tells them that Swana of the Yellow will soon invite them to a meal. They must accept and have the meal in a public setting so everyone can see the Arjas mingling again. Egwene will try to get the Browns to invite them too, and again, meet in public, do the same thing over and over and over. Be visible. They agree and dismiss her, because there's still that dismissal. They're not quite at Amyrlin acceptance level yet. Egwene rises and gives a very slight but deliberate nod to Ferrane, and they all take it for the grand sign of respect it is. They're like, ooh, everyone at the table notices. They know her reputation for not courtesying, and Ferrane actually nods back. So there's some respect there. Before she leaves, Ferrane offers her a place in the Whites, if she chooses. She said, yeah, everyone's offering me places, but she's very impressed with her logic for someone so young. But Egwene reminds her, listen, I'm the Amyrlin, and I can't be of any one Arja. But thanks for the offer. She turns around and lets that huge smile blossom on her face, and leaves the white Arja sector. She walks past one of the warders as well, the huge smile on her face. Like, ha! So he knows. But her smile soon fades or flees from her face when she runs into Katarine with her cup of forkroot and a devious little smile of her own. When that horrible woman has a smile on her face, you know trouble is afoot. Egwene drinks it and turns to go to her next lesson, but is stopped by Katarine. There will be no more lessons. Instead, it's pot scrubbing time. I thought about you, Willie, when I heard this news. Everyone agrees that there's nothing they can teach her about weaves. The reports are like this. She's even way ahead of us on some shit. But what they can teach her is humility. So, mornings will be garden work, afternoons in the kitchens, and evenings scrubbing floors. 5 hours at each one, every day, all day, until she learns her place. And then afterwards go for her penances and beatings. But there'll be no more classes, no more freedom. And she's like, oh, shit. She needs that freedom. She's making headway. She needs to speak to more sitters and sisters in general. So Katarine asks smugly, how do you like them apples? But Egwene controls her emotions like a good little Aes Sedai and simply replies, very well, let's go. Very disappointing for Katarine. After 3 hours in the kitchen, scrubbing the inside of a fireplace, I suppose it had to be done at some point. Just not an arbitrary job.
It's a very important job, Jody.
Yes, but it doesn't seem to... Billy's so upset.
Billy ready with a tangent.
About how the suit can set fire and cause chimney fires?
Yes. Yes, there you go. There you go, Jody.
And Egwene says here they also don't want it like flaking off and falling in the food.
Yes. So what I'm saying is it's gone on. It's this bad already. Like,
yeah.
Maybe nobody wants to do it. So it's like, oh shit, Egwene's here. Sweet. She can do it. All right. So after 3 hours of kitchen scrubbing the inside of the fireplace with regular check-ins from her minders, they come like every 30 minutes. Katarine and the other raid. Laris sneaks over to her. And I mean sneaks because she really does sneak. Egwene doesn't hear her.
She's very stealthy.
Yeah. It's only for her shadow.
It's related to Venom.
She got notice. She's half Aiel.
Maybe she's Vanon's mom.
Maybe. So she sneaks over, and then when they see each other, she gestures for her to follow, and they head over to the pantry, where she reveals her secret trap door under sacks of grain. So she's got this whole sneaking the novices out network, you know. She's been doing it for decades. And she's like prepping her next jailbreak. She tells Egwene to hide in there until night, and then she'll sneak her out. She thinks this Aes Sedai treatment of Egwene is shameful, and she will not tolerate it any longer. But Egwene tells her, thanks, but no thanks. And Laris is like, what? You're not listening to me, girl. Get in that hole. And Lara wants to know why, of course. And Egwene tells her that she has to fight. It's in her blood. There's no other way. There's no other option. On the way back to the fireplace, they are busted by Katarine, but Egwene thinks quickly on her feet and pretends that Laris was giving her some instructions. And Laris catches on pretty quickly too. She's like, yes, and don't let it happen again. Katarine buys it and tells her that she has been summoned to serve the Amyrlin at dinner. Again, that Egwene has been summoned. She's got to go clean herself up and get there, chop chop. After her bath and on the way up, she's making plans in her head again on how to approach tonight. She decides that the silent approach is the best, like last time. Keep your mouth shut, keep your head down. We can't give Elaida any more reason to restrict her movements. She's got to play it cool. Inside, she is shocked to find a grand feast underway. Elaida's there, and 5 sitters are there as well. One from each Aja, except the blue, of course, and the red, as Elaida still considers herself red, as we've established. Her black Aja hunters are there, Yukiri and Dosine, as well as Ferrane, from earlier, Rubinde of the green, and Siuan of the brown. Egwene's mind starts racing. Hey, what do they say about best laid plans? And your plan of battle is good only until the first sword is drawn, or whatever, the first swords clash. So yeah, her plan is out the window. She cannot let these sitters see her be subservient after all the hard work she's put in. So she's kind of in a dilemma. Moritz, you look like you want to say something.
No, I was going to quote Mike Tyson. What is it? Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Everyone's got a plan until they got punched in the mouth.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
I was right on that as well.
She got punched in the mouth. So she's thinking as well, like, why would Elaida organize this dinner with the sitters? Is she trying to heal the rifts? Did I misjudge her? No, it's dead stress.
No.
I wouldn't worry about that. Elaida calls her over, and while she walks, she realizes that this is a make or break moment for her now. If she goes on ahead, like I said, with that silent treatment approach, she'll look cowed in front of the sitters. She can't allow that after all the work she's put in to appear in control. So Elaida goes straight into insulting the sitters. So no, Egwene had not misjudged it. She's not there to heal anything. Just insults. After some time as Elaida's personal cup filler, Egwene realizes that this dinner is Elaida's way of bullying the sitters into doing what she wants while showing Egwene off as her trophy. Like her big way of saying, hey, look at my power. I brought this really, false Amyrlin down. Now do as I say. So after some more insults, the topic of the Seanchan is brought up. Siuan's sources said that they are a threat and must be taken seriously. That they have spoken to Egwene, who has first-hand experience. But again, Elaida dismisses them. Elaida turns to Egwene and orders her to tell them that she was lying or exaggerating about the Seanchan, like, recant your lies. So here we are. Egwene must choose. Stay with a silent treatment plan, or take a penance, or go for broke. Everyone's looking at her. She goes, fuck it. All my beer. She lets it all out. I have a list here. It's even numbered. 1, the Seanchan are not working for Rand. All right, because that's one of Elaida's counters against how dangerous they are. 2, they are indeed a severe danger to the tower. 3, she has taken the 3 oaths, and they are more dear to her because she hasn't had to. There's nothing keeping her to those oaths. And 4, by those oaths, she is a dreamer, and she dreamed that the Seanchan will attack the tower, and all of this is true. So Elaida regrets, of course, forcing her to speak. Penance for you for telling these lies, blah, blah, blah. But Egwene shoots back that these sitters know she tells the truth. Like, everyone here in the room except you. And every time Elaida insists that Egwene lies, she lowers herself in their eyes. She reiterates the Seanchan threat, telling her she can still feel that collar on her neck in her dreams and in her nightmares. Again, Elaida tries to dismiss her claims and orders her to kneel before Zod, Superman, and, or to kneel before her and beg for forgiveness. I've got it here. Not a fucking chance in hell. Egwene asks her what will happen if she doesn't kneel. Like, what if I don't? What you going to do, huh? Elaida embraces the source, and she's like, wow, so you're going to use the power on me. So you don't have, don't you have any authority without channeling? Are you going to make me obey with force? Will she do this to every sister in the tower who opposes her? Now Elaida's full of denials. No, of course not, blah, 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 blah. You're talking shit about me. Egwene still has loads of ammunition, though. Has Elaida told these sitters about her 4th oath, that of obedience to the Amyrlin? She's like, no, that was just idle talk. It's not a plan or anything. And all the sitters are like, what? What's this 4th oath now?
What's this talk?
You threatened to lock me in a box just now. Like, she said, kneel before me or we'll lock you in a dungeon where we'll, just bring you out for torture, for beatings. So you locked me in a box, just like how you did to the Dragon Reborn, and you call him a tyrant? Elaida's brain is doing backflips now, trying to find a way out. She can't understand how Egwene turned the tables on her so quickly and effectively. Elaida starts weaving, and Egwene eggs her on. Like, go on, do it. Shouldn't you, as the Amyrlin, be able to talk me into submission? But instead you choose force. She sees Yukiri nod agreement out of the corner of her eye. Elaida shouts that she doesn't. Now she's shouting. Now she's lost control. That she doesn't need to explain herself to a lowly novice, to which Egwene replies with quotes from Baladare Arundale, the first Amyrlin to be raised from the Brown, who believed that after a crisis, the Amyrlin had the duty to explain her choices to the common people. And this gets a nod from Siuan. She's like, respect.
Good quote.
Good quote. How did you know about that? Elaida asks what nonsense she's blathering, because of course Elaida has never heard these quotes in her life.
Because she doesn't study books.
She doesn't read. She doesn't read enough, kids.
She just drinks wine.
Yeah. So, and then she's blathering about what Egwene's talking about. What are you talking about? But Egwene ignores her and interrupts her with her own question. Like, what are you going to do about what were you going to do about Rand after you captured him? Like, explain yourself, woman. What was the plan? Turns out Elaida was going to keep him shielded and in the tower until the last battle. Egwene replies with more quotes, this time from the Carethan cycle. As the plough breaks the earth, so shall he break the lives of men. The trumpets of war shall sound at his footsteps, the ravens feed at his voice, and he shall wear a crown of swords. How did Elaida expect Rand to fulfill these prophecies locked up in the tower? She says that your logic is astounding, Elaida. Earning a wry smile from Ferrane this time. Elaida turns the argument to the rebels in desperation. Point 2. Oh, the rebels trying to heal the tower, the ones that discovered a way to heal Stilling. What are you doing? Bullying everyone into your will? That gets a murmur of agreement from Dosine. She makes a sound. Elaida hears that sound, unfortunately, gives her the dagger eye look, and ends the debate as she's realizing she's losing control. Egwene just calls her a coward to her face. She names her coward and tyrant. She'd also name her dark friend, but she suspects that the dark one would be too embarrassed to associate himself with her. And this is when Elaida...
I'm straight.
Not even the dark
in for a penny, in for a pound.
Elaida fucking loses it. Screeching, she channels and smashes Egwene against the table, breaking wine pitchers and causing a right old mess. And she's screaming, me, a dark friend? No, you, a dark friend. She smashes Egwene against the wall with air, and she bounces her off, and she lands on the ground in the broken glass from earlier, and she's cut open her arms, and she's starting to bleed heavily, just lying there in a pool of blood. Elaida starts switching her with air, ripping at her clothes, and blood is spraying on the wall behind her. It's rough. Rubinde jumps up, shouting at Elaida to stop it. Have you gone mad? And Ferrana is next. You're violating tower law. And then she replies with, I am the law. She accuses them of laughing at her behind her back and mocking her. And she knows all their secrets and blah, blah. And she threatens them with the same treatment being dealt to Egwene. And she's making an example, she'll make an example of them as she's doing with Egwene. Now, context... The switching has not stopped while they have been talking. So she's turned her back on Egwene, and she's talking to the sitters. And this madness, this beating is going on behind her the whole time. But during this time, Egwene has found the strength to stand up. So when Elaida turns back to Egwene, pointing at her as the example, she's standing up, defiantly staring at Elaida, just in silence. Blood pouring down her arms and splashing all over the place. And she just thinks thank you, wise ones. You really prepped me for this. Egwene asks her, she even has the strength to speak, why she is making, you're making an example of me? Of what? Example of what exactly? And Rubinde is just oh dear Lord, I have the light. Egwene says she wishes she weren't needed in the tower. She wishes they had a grand Amberlin in Elaida, that she could step down and accept her rule. She wishes that Elaida deserved it. That she would willingly accept execution if it meant leaving a competent Amberlin in charge. The tower is more important than she is. Can Elaida say the same? So Elaida's full on mental now. She's screaming that Egwene doesn't deserve death yet. She's going to torture her first and lock her up. And she calls for the servants, who are, by the way, still in the room and shitting themselves against this coward against the walls. To go get the soldiers and to spread the word that to all the city that Egwene Alvia is a dark friend who rejected the Amerlin's grace. The servants, of course, just believe her, and they run out as the switching continues. But Egwene is running out of blood. She starts fainting, and her final thoughts are sad thoughts. Her battle from within the tower was at an end, one way or the other. That's the end of the chapter.
Yo.
I hope it wasn't too much.
Have you remembered to pick your favorite moment?
I'm going to go out on a limb and predict all of our 3 favorite moments.
Phil, what you got?
What do I have? I've got nothing.
Yeah, what do you say?
Dwayne's got everything.
Yeah.
Walked in to what Elaida and I'm going to show my power. And then she got fucked up with words.
Yeah.
Properly.
That's actually the thing that kind of is sticking out for me on this reread, is how Egwene is using all this logic. It's not just about her, defying all the pain and shooting Raken out of the sky and linking with the novices and stuff. She's actually making a lot of sense when she's talking to the Blackadder sisters or the Blackadder hunters in the basement, when she's talking to the sitters about their logic, when she's talking here to Elaida. She is making absolute sense, and that is her strongest weapon, because nobody can disagree with her. And they're fuck, she's right.
It's more than logic. It's more than being correct. She's showing what an Amerlin is to the core.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that she's doing all of this without being able to channel a trickle speaks to the Wise One training that power doesn't reside in your ability to channel.
No.
Power resides in you being logical, fair, just, and
honorable,
carrying honor.
Yes.
Being honorable, having G in that moment.
Yeah,
so
earning
for
respect,
me, that's
not
just
demanding
like,
it.
Yes. Exactly. It was like, I mean, when I went through this chapter, it was like, whoa. And again, back again. I was just like, well, fuck, this is so good.
Yeah. Her in her novice white, like blood flying everywhere, like Jody's saying, you know,
blood
and just like
everywhere.
to the extent that the other Aes Sedai are like, holy shit, how is she doing this? And she's
Yeah.
just standing there taking it, talking cold hard logic at Elaida. Oh, it's a thing of beauty.
It is. Elaida's biggest mistake was bringing Egwene into the tower. She's just such a stark contrast that she basically said, here's the alternative to me, and the alternative's so much better that no one would choose Elaida.
Yes.
She should have kept Egwene down in the dungeon.
It's not a question of an alternative.
Where what's her face was?
But again, Elaida is just this, like,
Leanne.
Let's imagine a world where no one is just by default that bad, and that her time with Baden Fane had created that through the Mordeth connection to the fall of Aradol? Question mark? Yes, I'm right there.
Aradol, yes.
So it's oh man.
Look, she was already on the edge.
But yes.
I think his influence just pushed her over. I don't think he had a job to do
yes,
there, really.
I
He
think
was in
Willie
a couple of days.
used the I think Willie used the analogy earlier about like the seeds were there. He was just nurturing that aspect of her, right? Like he was just sort of bringing to a forefront this, like, because it happened to an entire city. Not everyone in Aradol was a jerk to begin with, right? Like they started acting in that way, and that's exactly the symptoms that we're seeing in the tower. So Elaida was a fertile ground for that.
We can actually start a parallel podcast at the moment in the world that we live in, and drawing comparisons to the real world and real people almost, and saying, well, in the wheel of time this happened, therefore, so maybe we can extrapolate some ends.
Maybe we are living on the wheel. That is a
maybe we're in another turning.
This is our future. This is our future, and they're talking about events that are happening in our time.
Obviously this is a huge chapter, and like we've spoken about it a bit now, we even alluded to it at the top of the show, like this is just like a massive event, but there's little bits and pieces in here that if you guys are ready, I can just quickly toss out there as well.
If I'm ready.
Give us the hundreds and thousands sprinkles.
Yes, here come the hundreds and thousands. When Egwene explains to the Whites when she's meeting with them about like what her mission to like fix the tower and like mend all the animosity and all that sort of stuff is, Ferrain pays her the ultimate compliment from a White. She says, how very reasonable of you. Like, all right, cool, that's a massive compliment from a White. And then also like Elaida's judge of character failing her again. Apparently she's relying on Catrin a lot more now, another Black Archer sister, while her keeper has been away from the tower on some mysterious mission. That's Tarnafir, who's gone to the Black Tower. Why is Laras scrubbing pots? There's like so many novices and kitchen hands and stuff around. Because Laras is on the other side of the kitchen scrubbing pots when Egwene is busy cleaning the fireplace.
Because
I think it is
not too proud to scrub a pot, even though she's the boss. She's that kind of.
Maybe she was.
Because when
she was
you
looking for an
are the head of a
excuse to get
kitchen,
to Egwene and like tell her about the escape plan. So like maybe just pretending to be doing something.
I don't think she needed an excuse. Like when you're the head of a kitchen, a pot is a valuable thing. A good pot needs looking after. And I have in the past seen how other people scrub my pots, and I go back and like, no, this is not how it's done.
This is why you have such strong feelings about scrubbing pots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Willie, you would be very proud of me. I got a very nice new pan, nice heavy base, and I was taking care of it this morning, giving it a good clean, because I can't trust anyone else.
Is it a cast iron skillet?
No.
You failed. Horribly. Take it back to the shop.
No pride for you.
No, we got some nice new pans, and I'm taking care of them this time. We'll see.
That's
if that makes
good. You
any
should
difference.
always.
Yes. The tea Egwene has, the fork root obviously, makes her drowsy. So she's going, oh, this must be a strong dose, because it's actually making her a bit drowsy, and it is she can't channel at all. Like, it's really really knocked her out. Which to me reminded me of like Morgase's reaction to the fork root in Malden. Like,
that's right.
The tea they dumped in that reservoir must have worked really well. Like, it must have been like really strong to like knock out so many wise ones. And because Egwene's drinking it, like weaker versions of it, of course, that she can channel a little bit. But it's just like, oh, she had like a cup of tea and that made her drowsy already. So like that tea in Malden must have been pretty strong as well.
Aquifer tea was hardcore. It was like 3 days before they chucked it in as well, didn't they?
Yeah, a little bit of fermentation probably going with it as well.
Maybe.
Ushpui.
3 days.
Yeah.
So everyone's drinking sort of like minty water for a while.
Yeah, the first
because it's got like a minty flavor.
This is great water.
This is great. Yes.
How refreshing.
Catherine says to Egwene, "Go, run. The Amelin will not be kept waiting." And then a couple of lines later, we read, Egwene spent the better part of an hour washing in the tub. Like, because she was still smelling like soot and stuff. Like, is that you hurrying? Like, spending the better part of an hour in the bath? Cool. Okay.
No, she also, like last time, she was repeating the same plan as last time. And last time it was also to make Elaida wait. And then just don't stir the pot while you're in the room with her. So she was doing the same again. I'm the Amulet, not you.
Egwene thinks that Lelaine Dorelin admitted that Elaida had made some serious mistakes. I can't remember exactly why Egwene was thinking this, but when I had to go look up, like, who's Lelaine again? Lelaine Dorelin, she's one of the 3 Red Arger sisters that were exiled after the vileness. And the other 2 were Tutama and Tovine. So Tutama is now the head of, she's the highest of the Red Arger. Tovine bonded to Loghain, and this Lyrene person has admitted to Egwene. She's also a Red, and she's admitted to Egwene that Elaida has made some mistakes. But that is because Lyrene is actually pissed off with Elaida as well, and is pissed off with everyone that was involved with her getting exiled, and she felt that Elaida got off lightly because Elaida was also involved with the vileness. Elaida is the one that outed Tom's nephew Owen, who was gentled outside of the tower and died as a result of it, all that sort of stuff. So Lyrene is quicker to admit than the other Reds that Elaida has made mistakes because she holds her accountable for what happened after the vileness. And then the last note I had here is more of a question. Someone said that apparently the Seanchan are working with Aiel far to the south. What does that mean? The Seanchan working with Aiel. What could that possibly... What could be the source of that rumor? Because they super aren't. Obviously, our good Aiel, definitely not. So that leaves the Shido. Maybe the battles with the Seanchan in Altara and the Shido sort of running around in that area, people think that they're working together just because they're...
Yeah, it's just
maybe it's
information.
They saw those 300 Shido wise ones now chained as Damane.
But that's a very, very recent development.
Yeah, that wouldn't
after
have been...
the Battle of
It's
Malden.
all just bad news. It's all bad intel.
Yeah,
and once a wise one is collared as a Damane, how would you recognize them as Aiel?
You'd recognize Aiel. You would see an Aiel. Like, that's the whole...
They're very tan.
Drilled into our heads for 12 books so far about what an Aiel looks like. That everyone just looks at random and sees an Aiel. So you would see an Aiel face there.
Grey eyes, red hair, tall.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's an Aiel.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Yeah, don't know. I just thought I was trying to think, like, what possible sort of... Was Savannah at all meeting with the Seanchan? No, she wasn't. She had met with the Tower Sisters.
It's just bad info.
Yeah.
Bad intel.
I mean, the books are full of it. Yeah. All right. That's it from me. Great chapter. with which to start this episode. I have very sparse notes for the other chapters. So we can jump straight into the next one, which is chapter 17, called Questions of Control. Vil, what questions will your summary raise for us?
Questions about how awesome Cadsuane truly is. The best. Come on, Jody, you gotta love this one. Anyway.
I do.
No surprises. We're in the point of view of Cadsuane. And I have no idea where they are.
Actually, it is a surprise because the chapter icon is the blacksmith puzzle, and then the first thing you read is Cadsuane. I'm like, huh? What? So, sorry. Yes, I was literally surprised.
Yes. Anyway, no idea where they are. They're somewhere with Rand, because Rand's been hiding out. So, where are they now?
They're still in Aradaman.
Okay, then Aradaman.
That same manor house with the hole burnt in the front from Adrian being killed.
Okay, haven't moved.
Outside of it.
Still there. Yes, like I knew that. Cadsuane is sitting out back, not out back, out front to the interrogation room. She's not present, but she's present and she's listening. And today, Serene is doing the interrogation. Now, if you don't know who she is, she's the white hot sister. And Simirhage is having a walk in the park with us. She is just not getting away. Cadsuane is listening to this, and she's let her interrogator, as Rand had requested, that some of his Aes Sedai do some of the questioning as well. But trying to get the answers out of one of the chosen is taking a lot of time, and it's not really working. This gets her thinking again, and that leads to think how much she is like Semirhage. The second time now that it is pointed out the similarities between herself and one of the chosen. Meanwhile, Semirhage is just playing games with Serene. Like there isn't even any level of control there. Lunch arrives, to Cadsuane's surprise. Lunch is a mere bean stew that's not fantastic. But the serving lady, is sent in with the beans, and the next moment there's a great clatter of cloches falling and commotion. Cadsuane nearly jumps up, but decides to listen. And here's how the Semirhage goes on, that she's not eating the shit. Bring me some proper food. I would like a steak with some deep fries and, real food. But that's where Serene's like, oh, cool. If I give you good food, will you tell me what I want to know? And that's like, Cadsuane gets up, puts her teacup down, not having any of this shit. Putting steak orders and pavlova orders in. So anyway, the instruction is already given to the serving girl to go and get her a decent plate of food. But Cadsuane then walks in, and all of a sudden it all snapped with her. Like, what is going to get on top of this normal human being that can also just channel? Now, the next moment, second reference to judo. She judo throws this bound up in air Forsaken, and gets a knee on her back, and she can't move. She's still bound up with air, and says to her, now I don't take kindly to this messing of food, child, so you eat. And Semirhage is none happy about it. Threats of how everyone you love will be murdered and you will watch them eat each other. She's like, no.
The usual.
I will watch you eat these beans. That's what will happen. And she tells Serene, vacate the chair, please. So she can get up on the chair, and then she starts channeling. Now, it's important to say that Cadsuane did all of this without the power. Although she had all the weaves ready to go, she was like, no, I'm going to do this old school way. Then she finally channels, only to lift her up and put her over her knees, and then proceeds to spank her. Not a little. This is where screaming and threats and more threats and more threats has been. But now, in the interim as well, Cadsuane, I said, hey, so there's a couple of servants down the hallway. Can you bring them in here, please? Can you call the rest of the sisters outside in there? Let's get a bit of a show going. So all these nobodies come in. I need an audience. And while this audience there, she is letting loose and slapping and spanking to the point where her hand is bruised and sore, but she does not stop. Tears start flowing. But first, the threats, and then crying, and then after some more spanking, she's like, okay, will you eat now? And then she literally grovels onto the floor and starts eating the spilt beans off the old wooden floor. Cadsuane says, she is just a person. Remember that. Which is very true. Beans being scoffed up, she tells Serene, oh, by the way, you might want to get a hairbrush to do this to her because it really hurts the hand. And then she's like, all right, now what do I do about the boy? We change point of views. We go to Perrin. Perrin is still a thinky boy. Far moving north from Madden. And Grady's telling him, no, my lord, I'm fucked. I cannot do this. I need to sleep for a year. Kind of, not verbatim. But Perrin is like...
I don't think he said fucked.
he's now got a whole city of people. It's literally a city's worth of people following him that he needs to take care of, and there's fooding, and he just wants to get the refugees back home. But Bulwer has done the math, and the math don't add up. These poor guys are going to have to keep a gateway open for weeks to get people. It's like they can barely keep a gateway open for an hour. But yeah, there's so much going on in his head. With Grady saying that he just cannot do it, Perrin's like, well, then we'll just have to keep moving. Keep going north towards thinking that Rand is north. Anyway, but they're right on the top of the hill now, and Perrin surveys the camp. He's doing anything and everything as part to ruling or being lordly. Last we had him under wagons. Now we've got him inspecting the camp again. It seems to be his going trend. Passes
modus operandi.
Yeah. Passes some two river men who salutes him, but he also knows that although they're speaking to him, they all are part of that crew that know about his night with Lelaine, the tent, all that love action that happened. Perrin is also...
Or didn't happen.
Or didn't happen, according to Jody. But Perrin is also getting used to his wolf senses now, to the point that he's almost taking it for granted. And also, everyone's just like, yeah, he's got sharp eyes and a good smell, but he's just not really tapping too hard in it, because he's very concerned about the loss of control, especially when in battle, or we learn in the wolf dream that he nearly killed Hopper, and he needs to get control of this anger. And that's the end of that very short chapter, with 2 points of view.
Jody, any thoughts, comments? I have 3 notes.
Floor beans, yum.
And none of my notes about Semirhage getting spanked, which is great.
Again with the spanking. Yes. We haven't had some spanking in a long time. Since Matt did
this one is specifically for
What do
humiliation.
you mean Egwene's been spanked every day 6 times a day?
Oh, Egwene, yeah. No, she's not getting spanked. She's getting whipped, beaten. No, like she's got a stick. She hits it with a stick.
I think it's a strap.
Or a strap.
It's a slipper first and then a strap.
Yeah.
I think so.
A tool is used.
Fuck.
There you go. Super important stuff. We must know.
What I've got here is Grady's excuse for not being able to move the army via gateway is that he can only make one big enough for 2 men to walk through side by side. A couple other people there that can channel, a couple Aes Sedai, a couple wise ones. Nield is also there, can make a circle, can make a pretty big gateway with all those people linked up. I don't know. But obviously, I mean, Grady obviously doesn't know how to link like that, nor does he know how to tie off a weave, because they're talking about holding them open, you know, but that's not necessary. You can tie that weave off and leave that gateway open for ages. So, I don't know, like maybe just he's not trained enough to know all these things.
He's literally graying from the last bit of work. Like, he is looking grey and his hair is physically graying. So he's rough. Like, put it into the perspective of being that tired that you cannot actually.
He's a farmer. He knows how to do hard work.
But these are the guys that joined Perrin after Dumai's Wells.
They were sent by Rand.
Rand sent them along with Perrin.
So I'm just wondering how long they've been apart from the collective. So they're isolated from all the new knowledge that's.
When Perrin was sent away, he sent them with when Perrin was sent by Rand from Cairhien. Yeah, and their fake fight they were sent, because I mean all the Asha'man showed up at Dumai's Wells together. Remember, literally out of thin air. Jer Grady is one of the originals, the OG Asha'man at the farm. When Rand goes there the first time to show Min, or he takes someone there where he goes there, then Jer Grady is one of them. Pretty sure he has a wife back at the Black Tower. Vil, you mentioned this, but Perrin tried to kill Hopper in a recent visit to the Wolf Dream? Did that happen? Did we read that? I have no memory of that. He's thinking about losing control and like throwing the axe away. You know, like the axe only had one purpose, and that was to kill. At least with a hammer, he's got, you know, like it gives him a choice. And I was just thinking, well, you can also chop wood with an axe. You know, like there's other things you can do with an axe.
Killing the tree.
I've seen what the hammer can do to
Roland's face,
Roland's head. So there's not really an excuse, but I think it's more just the control argument at this point in time for you.
It's a running theme with Perrin. I just had no recollection of him losing control in the Wolf Dream and trying to kill Hopper. I have no memory of that. Listeners, let us know what that was all about. And at the end of this chapter, Perrin thinks to himself that he needs to return to the Wolf Dream. It was time to return. And I was like, yes, time to level up. Let's go, Perrin. Time to become the most badass user of the Wolf Dream.
I have read ahead so far.
Okay. How far ahead have you read? Something about Perrin?
Perrin and the Wolf Dream?
It's in these chapters coming, yeah.
Very recently. But he's
still noobing it up left, right, and center. Hopper is just like absolutely.
Because he's been avoiding the Wolf Dream as well. He hasn't got any practice. He hasn't got his hours in.
He's afraid of turning into a wolf, so he's avoiding the Wolf Dream for that reason.
Oh, this kid's afraid of everything, eh?
Anyway.
Fuck.
Yeah. Scary.
What really strikes me in Perrin's chapters all the time is, and I've always said I always think to myself that I want to do it, just read the actual words that is being spoken by the humans present. And if you were to go through his entire chapter, it's just one conversation with Grady telling him I'm tired. All the rest happens.
The rest is in his head.
All in his head, like a really thinky boy. There's not a lot of conversation. So if you put this into the perspective of this big guy that always walks around and never says anything, hardly says a word, checks the wagon and say, yes, you can have a horse and a wagon, Tam. Yes. Okay, thanks.
What a successful depiction of this contemplative character, right? Like his whole thing is about like thinking things through. I think in one of these chapters, if not this one, then one in the next batch, he's like, a man who doesn't think things through before acting is a fool, or something. You know, like it is hammered home for us, and it's certainly delivered that way as well, which is great because it's super consistent. Okay, let's forge ahead. Chapter 18 is called A Message in Haste. Vil, make haste and tell us what happened in this chapter.
I will make haste. We're now into one of our other heroes, point of view Swan, who is in siege camp. She is doing some washing, despite all the saying that she's got special level treatment now. She is Lelaine's sidekick, and she's therefore she's a lady in waiting. I almost want to say. Was the way that Lelaine put it. But yes, she's still ranting on the Dockmaster Sky and not knowing sure if it's good to
Joe's
hang
favorite.
up said washing. But there's a commotion at the pavilion, and it's a big one. What is all this shit
commotion.
about? A commotion. And While she makes her way to the commotion, she's now upset with Gareth, who thinks that she should learn the sword. You know what? That's not a bad idea. Learn the sword. It's good for you. The Aes Sedai use the sword. Shenanigans is this? Anyway, she bumps into Sheriam, who has lost a lot of weight. I wonder what is keeping her from eating. Maybe it's the promises to the Dark One that she's made.
Totally.
Swan asks Sheriam what this commotion is about, and quickly she lets slip that Elaida knows traveling. And this is obviously great, terrible news, because how did they finally break Egwene? Did they finally break Lyanna? What is happening over here? And then it's learned that they've been cashing in the Aes Sedai, that is, the rebel Aes Sedai, by still collecting, taxes, royalties, protection money, whatever you want to call it. So they've been traveling far and beyond and collecting all said monies until they go to someone, and this is Ashmanila, who has been going, and being told, okay, no, hold on. The other Red sister was here and said, only give it to the Reds. And they jumped out of a black hole in the sky, which was really weird. And they're like, okay, cool. All the descriptions lead to they can travel. Now, Swan's first thing is like, oh shit, if they've got this, then someone should perhaps inform the general of our army. It's a bit of important information, hence the title, and summons a novice to go and find a messenger. And then she starts questioning, like, why wasn't this meeting sealed to the flame? And Sheriam is more like, meh, I don't know, I don't care, I'm here to cause chaos. Shouldn't really say that. But it must have been Björn, they surmise, that had slipped traveling.
Yeah. Correctly.
Now, Swan standing there tapping feet waiting, and eventually a messenger comes on a horse that gets the short end of his stick. She makes him repeat the message despite him being a well-seasoned messenger for the general, but he is a outstanding class guy. He's way better than a pigeon. He could verbatim, say back that very important message to watch their flanks. They know the way that we've come here. He's a good man, I wrote here. Sheriam didn't even think about it because she's dumb. All right, now Swan thinks about it because she also loves Gareth Bryn, but she won't admit that right now. The White Owl is crumbling, and the rebel tower is also falling apart from politicizing, it would appear. There's just too much happening, and this whole thing that just transpired has got Swan's thinky brain on because she likes to puzzle out these puzzles. Anyway, she bends to pick up the basket, and a 70-year-old novice, Sharina, comes and say that she's here to help the Aes Sedai with the washing. But Swan is very observant, and she sees there's more to this very powerful, very strong granny. And she's like, okay, let's see where this goes. And it goes to a remarkable place because she had seen the whole thing go down. And it turns out that Lelaine was informed and deliberately repeated it in the presence of novice, knowing that the news would spread, which would be another political one-up to regaining power. So it's a little bit of a stink move to try and gain power.
Sharina says that she thinks that Lelaine is purposefully trying to cause chaos because in that chaos she can take power.
Yes, that's correct. It's using it as
chaos is a ladder.
Anyway, because Ashmanila reported it to Lelaine, and then Lelaine let the news split. So Lelaine is the snitch. Anyway,
and
she
then
wants
didn't,
the chaos.
like Lelaine called the sitting of the hall and didn't seal it. so everyone can hear what they're saying. Yeah, purposefully.
Is Lelaine Karrienen?
Ooh, because of Diastema.
Diastema. That was I wrote, that sounds very Diastema-ish for me. But I didn't go and look it up. But anyway, Swan asks Sharina then why she told her, and she would also probably, for this sort of trust and information, be rewarded. And she's like, no, this is Egwene, who's made a pathway for us. She's put her lot in with us, and my lot is tied to her. So it's in mutual interest that she succeeds as the Amyrlin. Which just another 10 points for her. She's a great new favorite of myself, and she doesn't need
Lelaine is Kandori.
So she's playing poorly at the game of houses. But yes, that is the end of that chapter. Again, a really quick one, just of what's happening in the Rebel Tower.
I only had 2 notes for that chapter, and one of them is like, Joe, your favorite sky again. The Dockmaster sky. Do you have anything you want to add in there, Joe?
Romanda is from Farmadding.
When no one's allowed to channel. And where Perrin comes from.
And Cadsuane. Some pretty influential women from Farmadding, yeah.
What? Is Cadsuane a green?
Yes.
Yeah.
My only other note was like, man, Elaida having traveling really does change everything for the siege.
Yeah,
right. Like the whole point of the siege is so. I'm hoping this whole siege situation is going to be over soon.
You guys haven't read as far ahead as the attack on the tower yet, or is that still far away?
Not yet.
No, I've only read the next set of chapters, and it hasn't happened in there.
I think it's like chapter 40 something or whatever.
Okay, well, we get references to it in this very next chapter.
Don't we?
Which is the one we spoke about before, Joe, about Tuon. So let's see. In chapter 19, called Gambits. Joe, can we please have a summary, mon chéri?
Okay. Did you plan that?
That's a tenuous link. We did not plan that. But you know why I used that?
No. I've completely forgotten what's in this chapter.
The person I've heard say that phrase the most is Gambit from the X-Men.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought it was something from this chapter. I was like, no,
and then you said it in the intro.
I know.
The overmind is strong.
Did you plan this? Like, the overmind, yeah. All right. What was it doing? Chapter 19. Gambit. We join Tuon on the balcony of her palace in Ibudar overlooking the city. She's contemplating the chaos in the world right now, and why won't they just let the Semirhage bring order and peace through oppression and slavery? Why are they fighting us? But everyone is fighting her. There's Ituralde in the north and Rand in the east. Can't they just submit, bow to the Crystal Throne? Everything would be so much easier and cooler if they did that. She's waiting on news. She's waiting on news from Tuon as well. His report is overdue. Lady, it's never coming. Not from him, at least. But she already suspects that because she saw a bird. You know, those omens. But enough moping. Time to get back to work so she heads back into the audience chamber from the balcony. The usual coterie of unpaid staff are there on their knees, as well as lords and ladies and minor nobles and major nobles and low bloods and high bloods and Death Watch guards and Ogier gardeners and Captain General Galgan himself. Not Galgan, as I have written here. He's flanked by banner generals Najira and Yamada. Now, those two names, you can forget them instantly because I went and looked, and all that's written about them is that they are here at this meeting. That's all they ever do. So
Yamada I'd heard before, but I could be conflating him with Yulan, who's the the mastermind behind the tower attack.
Yamada seemed so familiar as well, so I had to go look it up. Nope, nobody, does nothing. Tuon announces that Selucia is now her truth speaker. Everyone's like, yeah, no surprise. We figured. She thinks to herself that at least she knows this truth speaker is not a Forsaken. Haha, burn. So, Falendre actually managed to get Rand's message to her. We were talking about this, like, how is she, like, Tuon's not just speaking to random people, you know? Yeah, she is. She got the message through. Tuon was doubtful, but the other Suldam that were there, the Damane, corroborated Falendre's story. And she's like, I gotta believe you guys. It's unbelievable, but I believe you. Then little old Beslan is showing in. We were talking about Beslan just the other day. Here he is again. He walks to Tuon, eyes down, he kneels, and he bows low. And I'm right here, whipped. They give condolences to each other for the mutual losses of mothers, even though Tuon hated hers, but she's like, yeah, I'll keep that to myself. Tuon wants to know why he stopped holding court. This is why he's been summoned. Why have you stopped administrative procedures in the?
Why are you not kinging?
Yeah, king. You should be kinging more. He tells her, no, listen. He was confused when she arrived. Like, how should he run things? Could he just carry on? Does he need to, be subservient to her right away? Is she going to run the city? And she asks him, no, we just thought maybe it's because you don't have time with all this rebelling, plotting going on that you're doing that we know all about in the secret meetings in the basements of the pubs and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, shit, busted. He starts to deny it, but of course Tuon takes over and tells him, just stop lying. It's not going to help you in any way. We know all about it. The jig is up. He stands up then. He's like, all right, fine. He stands up, looks her straight in the eyes. But before he can get 7 words out, I counted them, she interrupts him. She admits that the Semirhage Empire is on the verge of collapse and that she cannot ignore threats of rebellion. But as he already started his rebellion before she was in charge, during the dark days, and the fact that he is ignorant, she'll cut him some slack. Secretly, though, she knows she needs Beslan. Because she needs Ibudar, she needs Altara. There's resistance on all fronts. Semirhage, the continent itself, is in chaos. Suroth was a dark friend, Anath was a Forsaken, and they had made many mistakes to her. They were intentional, of course, by the Dark Friends, like throwing 100,000 soldiers away in Turan's battle with Ituralde. That was a huge setback for them. She needs to regroup, she needs to consolidate, and the people of Ibudar love Beslan. There's no way she could put his head on a spike and think to control them. So she breaks down what she can do for him. He can have the throne. Altara needs its king. He can run the country the way he wants, of course subservient to her, but has no desire to run it for him. He will have the support of the Semirhage Empire to guard his borders, protect and feed his people. The Empire is a resource for him. Then she offers him 2 choices. Number 1, execution. An honorable execution, don't worry. We'll talk good shit about you after you're dead. Or 2, we'll raise you to the high blood, along with some referrals from lower houses to be raised to the low blood. Altara will become the permanent seat of the Empire on this side of the ocean, so it'll be the most powerful country in the world. And he'll have to provide troops and resources, which is proper to the Empire. And that's the deal. She gives him 1 day to think about it and dismisses him. But he's not 2 steps away from her when he hesitates, and the struggle clear on his face. And after a few awkward moments of Dakovale saying, go on, man, you've been dismissed, trying to push him out, he turns, he kneels, and he gives the Randland oath of fealty to Tuon right there and then. Galgan is not happy with the oath. That's not the proper Semirhage oath. But Tuon tells him, chill, listen, we can all figure what he's, we catch his drift, She tells him that they as they expect these people to accept their ways, they should also accept some of the local ways in return. Not all of them, just some of them. Now she recalls her long chats with Mistress Anan that shaped her way and how she thinks about this new world now. And I thought, shit, Anan, Aes Sedaiing, even after she's not an Aes Sedai. She made such a difference. Same note. She made such a huge difference to the way the future of the continent is going to be shaped. in a tinker's caravan, in a circus caravan, chatting to the daughter of the Nine Moons. She did some important work. I wonder if she was going to be a blue before she, or was she a blue? What was her previous Aja? Do we know?
Oh, God, Jody.
You're going to have to do some Googling. So she accepts Tuon, that is, accepts Beslan's oath and raises him to the High Blood on the spot. Now that he's High Blood, he can stay if he wants to, hang out, or he can go, do whatever you want now. No one can kick you out. But she has other business to attend to, so if you will excuse me, he chooses to stay, and he goes and stands with the rest of them. Next up is Galgan. He lays the banner of the dragon reborn before her. Rand has requested, that's a different one. Rand has requested another meeting, although he's not so sure Rand is actually the dragon reborn. He doesn't trust him so much, just because he says he is. I don't know if he really is. But Tuon is like, listen, I'm pretty certain that he is. I met his best friend. I hung out with him for a while. And this return, coming back now, the return, capital R, so close to the last battle, this is no coincidence. We were meant to be here, right now, in this place, at this time. And the dragon reborn must bow to the crystal throne. They will stay here. The chaos back home, as well, on the Semirhage continent, is going to have to wait. So, Galgan approves. And since she's talking of staying, he has some military plans he'd like to run by her while he's here. And he just so happens to have a whole bunch of maps and people with him, so check this shit out. Lays out everything. Yulin has an awesome plan that you just have to see. Yulin comes in and he starts going over his plan. They have two major hurdles in their conquest of this land at the moment. Rand, which he's going to leave her to deal with in her Majesty's infinite wisdom. And a large number of this Marath Damane concentrated in this white tower that they call it. Remember that weapon of mass destruction they used outside of Ibu Dar? So the Semirhage are still mind blown about this weapon of mass destruction outside Ibu Dar, which was just them unweaving a gateway, was it? And then letting it just unravel and explode. So, recap for everybody. And this traveling as well that they have, this ability to just appear out of thin air. We should do something about that. He starts breaking down his plan. They will use Torokan, striking up through Murandi and then using the Lelaine grass there as resting grounds. It's a very nice approach from the south to Tar Valon. Very scattered population. There's no one there. And they can attack from the south. He reckons they can gather 80 to 100 Torokan with 20 squads of the Fists of Heaven. It's like 200 troops in total. 50 linked Suldam, and a few blood knives sprinkled in, with the aim of attacking at night and capturing as many Marath Damane as possible. So, yeah, I was like, ooh, blood knives. Read that a bit. I know, Moritz, you've spoken to them about them before. These guys do not return from battle.
Very, very rough.
Yeah. So what they do is they drop them off behind enemy lines, and then they attack. And then after they've attacked, these blood knives stay behind to try and cause as much damage as possible after the main force, so that I suppose no one can follow them as they retreat or as they regroup or something, and just cause shit until they are eventually killed. Yeah, until someone kills them. So that's when Tuon thinks, shit, he's serious. Blood knives. Well, this is a serious plan. He must have a lot of faith in it. They believe, this is Yulan and Galgan, that they believe that now is the time to attack. The enemy thinks itself insulated and would not expect them to attack at all. He's 100% right. Elaida is not expecting an attack on the White Tower at all.
Spot on.
The only issue Tuon can see is that Rand will not be happy with this. But Galgan thinks that he won't mind too much. The intel again is weak. Some reports say that he is connected with them, others that he is opposed, and others that they are his pawns. And I'm like, all true. That's why. You think you're getting 3 different stories, but it's just 3 aspects of the same story.
3 points of view of the story.
Yeah. Those are all true. And he's trying to figure out, he's like, 2 of those must be wrong and 1 must be right, but no. But they must assume the worst, based on the very little that they have, and that this attack will anger the Dragon Reborn greatly. But it's still worth it, he thinks. It's worth all of that trouble. All the Marath Damane must be collared, and Tuon agrees. And this is around, God damn it, Tuon. You were just getting into my good graces. So she puts it up for discussion. She's a fair empress. Among those that are gathered, all the blood. Everyone looks at each other, but no one says anything. They're like, well, I'm not going to say anything. You want to say something? Not even Beslan. Seems like the Aes Sedai, being huge assholes for generations, hasn't won them any friends in Altara. Yeah. No one's standing up for them. So as she opens her mouth to approve the plan, the doors open. Tylee Kirghan has arrived. Galgan immediately asks that she be given an audience. He's like, if she's here, you got to listen. She's awesome. Yeah. You got to listen. I don't know what she's going to say, but she's going to say something awesome. So she enters. She is given an audience, and she enters with some soldiers and a large brown sack with seeping/dried, crusted blood on the bottom. They dump the contents out, severed Trolloc heads. She gives Tuon, as you remember, the last time we saw her was as the Trollocs attacked, and it killed old Mishima with an arrow through his throat. Rest in peace, Mishima. So she gives Tuon a brief overview of her time with Perrin, fighting the Aiel, and then on their way back, and tells her about the Trolloc attack. And now she believes that these Trollocs are heading here to Ibudar. There is much murmuring in the crowds around the heads and of the story. So Tuon quickly hand signals, which she has been doing sometime throughout this chapter, to Selusha that Mat wasn't mistaken about the Trollocs after all. And if they dismissed his warnings about this, what else? What other warnings did they dismiss that might be true? They need to get back to him and talk to him. She would also very much like to have him back. And then she's like, oh, wait, that last part? I didn't realize I felt that way. She didn't mean to share that with Selusha. But Selusha's like, girl, I know. Tuon silences the room with a simple gesture, and Tylee finally airs her treasonous thoughts. Remember her treasonous thoughts? So as Philandre got her message to Tuon, so she does. So does Tylee. After her time in these lands, she believes that Rand and those that follow him would make better allies than enemies. Selusha also gives some very loud advice, some vocal, no more sign language here, that this may be the best course of action, that sometimes you might have to lower your eyes and do the right thing. And this may be, this truce with Rand might be the very one. Tuon thinks about it a bit and then orders Galgan to hold their positions on Almouth Plain and in eastern Altara for the moment. To avoid confrontation with the Dragon Reborn, just hit pause. Cause a ceasefire. And to reply to him, accepting the invitation to meet. She again wishes that Mat was there. She could really use his knowledge of Rand and to prepare for this meeting. Her thoughts are, stay well, you curious man. Remember, you are the Prince of Ravens now. Act appropriately. And if I can finish with the first... Billy, are you going to use the opening lines? This is
of the next chapter.
Of the next chapter. I don't know who's got it, but
yeah.
His next... Because as you leave Tuon with those lines, it goes straight to Mat in the next chapter, who goes, Women are like mules.
No, goats.
Wait, no,
mules.
Goats.
No, goats.
Mules. No, goats.
Women are like goats. And you're like, oh, dear Lord. So, yeah, Mat, very different in the next chapter, but still cool. And that's the end.
Yeah, big one, Joe. Vil, any thoughts on Tuon and the Sean-chan or anything you want to call out here?
It's nice to see her rule. To see that she is actually quite a depth ruler. There's a lot of knowledge.
Yes.
She's very quiet and she learned, much like Egwene, she has been taking in a tremendous amount of knowledge without saying very, very much in the whole adventure with Mat. And now she's back and she has tremendous amount of power behind her.
And is showing like levels of flexibility thanks to Satel Anan. Like the way she handles Beslan is surprising to like other people, but she's like, no, this is what we have to do. And it immediately works. Beslan swears fealty. He's like, all right, I'll give it up.
And part of me was like, come on, Beslan, just do it.
Try a bit
harder. In a bad
and
way.
So she seems to have genuinely liked Tylen. Not Teslan. Sorry, I had to just quickly check Teslan, Tylen. Teslan's the Aes Sedai.
and not Tylee.
And yeah, like a lot of things counting towards Tuon in the pros column. So now let's address the cons column here, Joe.
You know my
thoughts multiple times.
You guys can talk about it.
I do. So let me put out some not counter arguments, but like some points to consider, right? So actually in this chapter, you see a lot of the setup for her specific way of thinking as the new leader of the Seanchan. So she thinks about how the world is in absolute chaos, especially considering what's happening back in Seanchan. And then she thinks restoring order is going to be very, very difficult, perhaps impossible. But it is her duty as the Empress of the Seanchan to restore order. She provides order and stability, which by extension in their minds means collaring the Aes Sedai, lest they act in the way they had originally in Seanchan before the Adam were created. Remember, it was like all just civil war with Aes Sedai fighting for all the different generals and stuff that were... And it was when they collared all those Aes Sedai that they solidified the nation of Seanchan much more and like established the empire in its current format. So for her, the Marath Damane and the Aes Sedai and all channelers represent chaos, and her entire purpose is to bring chaos, rein in that power, control it, order, so she feels it's like her duty. So I can sort of see like how she's taking on this responsibility. It sucks that she, for the most part, it seems like she actually agrees with everything about it, right? Like she's not thinking, I need to keep the world safe and like prevent these Marath Damane from hurting anyone else. Those are never her thoughts. The thoughts are more directly, I need to control them, I need to collar them, they can't be allowed to run around free. Yeah. But I think it is in a large part based on that entire mentality from the Seanchan that channelers represent chaos and death, and therefore they need to control them.
But like you said also, last time, they take it too far. They could just control them, but then they debase them to lower than animals.
Exactly.
And there's the...
Yeah. Even Tuon, who's sort of like, treats her pets really well, and like talks about training them and stuff. And like, it's very, very gross. And then like we also said, just have a bunch of slaves. The plant channel. Good old regular run-of-the-mill slaves. So I'm not willing to let her off the hook completely yet, but this like working with Sital's advice, working with Beslan, recognizing that Matt is right about the Trollocs. What else could he have been right about? Well, literally everything, because Matt doesn't lie. So everything he said to you, Tuon, is 100% factually true. But yeah, so I saw this coming, Joe, like, and as I was reading, I was like, this is obviously what Jody was talking about. And I think Brandon is also, in this chapter specifically, setting up her drive, because he spends like an entire page talking about it, like all this chaos that she feels obligated to restore to order, to justify that attack on the tower.
I want to add in that no one person can be blamed for the culture that they were raised in. You believe it to be true. This up before. You believe it to be right.
We have.
But when faced with a different option, are you ignorant to learning new things, or are you able to take it in and start making small changes that will eventually lead to a bigger change? That's why I'm Team Tuon.
So let's see. I mean, when the Dragon's Peace is signed, I think a lot of this is spoken about, right? Like when Rand brokers a peace with the Seanchan, let's see how it's dealt with there, and also after the last battle, if there's any talk of like what things are going to be like going forward from here, because maybe we were naive in hoping that Tuon spent a bit of time with Matt and now she'll just throw away her entire Seanchan structure,
everything she knows,
and culture and all that stuff, and all the stuff that she's actually responsible for, the people that rely on her, and all that sort of her duty as the Empress. It's funny, in that other Farseer trilogy that I read, there's one kingdom that live in the mountains. They're sort of naturalistic, their palace is like a giant tree structure and they live close to nature, and they're sort of the royal family in that society call themselves sacrifice. Like they are there to sacrifice themselves for their people. And Tuon is showing shades of that here by saying like it's her duty to restore order and to look after her people and that sort of stuff. So I think it's going to be we're not at the finish line here yet. We've still got some road to travel with Tuon, and I'm hoping she gets somewhere that we can sort of accept.
Well, the razor still's got a round bend.
Yeah. Two things on Tuon. The world used slavery, our world, for hundreds and thousands of years. Eventually,
still does.
The civilized world, but the civilized world as a whole, as in general, realized, hey, slavery bad, and we stopped it. So we're just at a point in time now where it's possible that in couple of hundred years, or 100 years, that the Semirhage can learn, because now they're on Rand land and they're not going back. They have to integrate in the fourth age, that they will unlearn slavery, that they will abandon it. So there might be hope for the future. And also talking about her duty, she thinks of this as all her duty. There's no ego. Like Rand, she's like, Rand must bow before the crystal throne because it's in their prophecies, not because she thinks I am the empress and he must he must be subservient, just because of she must, as a duty, fulfill the prophecy.
And she also doesn't think Rand must bow to me.
Yeah,
to the crystal throne.
It's
yeah. I feel like we're trying to find reasons to like Tuon, which is a long way for me certainly to have come. Yes, yeah. So I'm definitely softening on Tuon in this read, obviously.
Now, Tuon's relationships. She's got this whole subplot in this chapter as well with her and Galgan, and his ambition for power. And him trying to, she's weary of him, that he's going to try and make a move. That he's the highest ranking. He came over. Seanchan's in chaos. He's now on this side. There's what potentially is a weak ruler and a young, untested Tuon, and that he could make a move and declare himself the emperor. And she's got to play him. And this thought and this move that she makes where she's like, no, we're staying put. We've come here. We've got enough men. We've got a mission. Let's do it. Earns her respect with him. Because he goes like, all right, cool. I've got some plans for you. Watch this. And he gives her the plans for the White Tower attack. So that little moment as well to him, he goes like, all right, I'm not going to usurp power. You can stay on the throne. And I've got these plans.
Not time for a coup just yet. No.
Yeah.
Those plans for the attack on the White Tower are the same ones, I think we've said this a couple of times, that are briefly referenced on Caredi's desk when Almarat Moore comes to tell him about, and Caredi puts the plans away, and he thinks something like, the more secrets that are known, the more certain they are to come out, or something along those lines. But like, these plans have been brewing for a little while. Interesting point. This is the day after Tuon got back.
She's back. She's straight to work.
Straight to work. The day before was when Suroth was outed as a dark friend, and blah blah. All that stuff went down. Day 2, Beslan, come in. This is how we're gonna run the story. Galgan, what's the plan? All right, cool. We're gonna meet with the Dragon Reborn. Like, it's all like right on top of each other.
That's because that's the night before then, where she just barges into that meeting where Suroth is with Galgan and.
Yes.
All right.
The head rolls on the floor. 2 days in a row, heads in sacks rolling on the floor.
Lots of heads in sacks the last couple of days, yeah.
I have a very, there's one thing that wasn't resolved for me, and I actually forgot to mention it, and I thought about it when I was listening to the episode, is what happened to Suroth's Lopar that would protect her so fiercely? Now that she's made
we need to know.
Darker Veil to the gardeners.
Shit.
Probably put down.
Yeah, I'm going to say they killed it.
Fed to the Raken.
Oh, don't they eat grass?
Yeah, I think that's why they're stopping on the Caroline grass, to feed them and rest them.
The Raken.
Oh, the herbivores.
I think they're herbivores, yeah.
Callback. Tuon thinks to herself about Beslan here, like, he's being too subservient. What's going on here? He's equal to many of the blood. Not all of them. He's a king, but like he's equal to many of the blood. I was just like, okay, cool. So it's still holding some of the blood over the local leaders. Joe, you mentioned most of the other things that I'd mentioned. Oh, she says here that it turns out that the Damane that had previously been Aes Sedai are proving useless as weapons.
Yeah.
Because of the 3 O's.
Yeah.
They can't attack anything. They
can use it for mining and for cleaning things, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah. 80 to 100 toe raken. Villy, you gave us a good way to remember which of the 2 raken are the big ones and the small ones. The toe raken because they can tow things.
The toe raken tows a whole lot on their back.
Is the transport. Yeah.
So you can fit 10 people on them. Plus, because it's 20 fists and it's 200 in total. So each fist is 10. Plus the pilot. Or don't they have 2 pilots on the big one? The navigator and the...
They had 2 on the small one that we read, where the one is killed. The one that delivers the message about this awesome weapon that they felt.
Exactly. So I'm thinking that's 12 max on a
We're going to do a callback and I'll see how they pilot the Raken and who's being carried on them and stuff. They're leaving empty space on the Raken, though, to bring Marastamane back.
But they're talking about hundreds. Like they say that reports of up to 300 Marastamane in the tower. How do they plan to bring back as many as possible is their aim? So 200? 250? They must have extra...
I'll go do the math, Joe, and I'll come back with what their max number of Marastamane could have been.
Realist in the sense that they know that they'll lose some people as well, and they're also leaving a bunch behind, the knife hands, to sow chaos.
I think. Blood knives.
And they're bringing 80 to 100 toe rocken, and if each one can take 10, that's 800 to 1,000 spaces. And the armies
as we're doing math with like a lot of figures missing here. We don't know how many people can fit on a toe raken, do we?
I don't know. Some way pi needs to be used in this equation as well, I think.
No.
I'll go check how many people are in a fist. I'll go check how many people can be fit on a toe raken, and that'll tell us the difference. Will be like, okay, how many spaces
surely, and I'll have a query as well, because they say, and 50 linked Suldam. And the Demone? What are they going to do with the linked Suldam?
Is it a European or an African toe raken?
I don't know that. Galgan, like when Tylee Kirghan is approaching or is like announced, sort of, Galgan goes, in humility, like, Empress, I know I'm being super, super forward here, but definitely do listen to this woman. Because it sounds like he's taking a chance. He's having to go, in humility, okay, please don't bite my head off for asking this, but I'm going to ask you a lot now. Let her talk. And then for Tylee to give that message about like rather being allies instead of enemies or adversaries is pretty cool.
Yeah, because Tuon even like thinks about it, like, oh, that's a bit forward. Like, yeah, she is just giving her opinions, is she?
No, because she walks hung out with the other Taviran.
Yeah, it rubbed off on her.
The same way Mattis rubbed off.
Yeah, and Satella Nun, new hero of the ages. She's actually the key pinnacle person in this story. It's because of
the
her
strongest Taviran of them all.
Yeah.
Speaking of last, should we get onto our last chapter here for the episode? That is chapter 20, called On a Broken Road. Vil, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, could you please give us a recap?
Broken Road. It's in the point of view of a Matt.
Mm-hmm.
They're moving. The band is on the move, and he is whinging. He's whinging about women and goats and mules. And poor Tamanus has just got to suck up and listen. All of this. Because, Matt's got a missus now. And he's trying to figure out how he's gotten tricked into marriage. Anyway, he tells a story about how a woman would dice. And I laughed at it because, yes, they would make up rules to win dice games. But Tamanus just puffs on the last of his 2 riveted back, as he's forced to listen to all of this, to the point where Matt starts saying to him, like, hey, are you making sport of me? You pulling my leg? You edging me on? He's like, no. But anyway, Vannon, who's been charged with the navigation of the band, feeling somewhat, shall we call it, intimidated by the great maps. And if you've got great maps, do you really need a scout and a navigator like Vannon? But no, it turns out that you sometimes still do. But yes, there's a perfectly good town coming up. It would appear, if the maps are accurate and good.
They are.
Great help those maps have been. Even man,
you just need to know how to read them.
Yeah, well, that's Master Roy Dow's job. He can read them and decode them. He even says as much. But anyway, he's been told, right, go and scout, and off goes the fat man. Now, Vannon on a horse. You just have to imagine this. His legs don't go straight down like a normal person that grips the horse with your thighs, and then your feet are in the stirrups and you like straight up. Vannon rides a horse with his feet out. There's no gripping. His weight and gravity does all the staying on the horse. It is a funny sight in your head, especially mine. Anyway, back to Talmanis, who is in his red coat, freshly powdered forehead is recently shaven, still very odd to Matt, but they're musing about the war, and Talmanis is like, stop stressing, you just won a major victory. And he's like, well, 1,000 dead isn't great. Matt even thinks, even though he knows, all those memories tell him that this is a great victory, he still thinks about the 1,000 dead. But that's not really what's bothering him. Fact is, bothering him is the Prince of Raven's tag that he's carrying now. And wondering, does Tuon actually love him? And will she send an army after his band? I mean, after all, she's still going to be the Empress. So there's potential that she might just send an army to go and destroy his whole army. Then he goes on with Talmanis, should he have let her go? And poor Talmanis is like, oh, here we go again. He's not going to stop. And he continues about woman and marriage and stuff. And he won't give up gambling. And there comes my favorite bit. Talmanis saying to him, if I would peek into your tent in the middle of the night, I would find you mumbling in your sleep that, where's my bloody drink? And who wants to gamble for my drink?
Yes.
And then Matt's like, okay, next village we're doing it. Boys' night out. We're going to take a whole chest of gold with us. Not just the pouch of silver and gold. We're taking the chest with us. We're going to stock up. And we're going to go have a merry old good time. Behind him, Olva and Knowles following, and then they actually notify them to the approach of Vannon, who is like, yep, great map, great hills, everything's marked. There's a village coming. Its name is Hinderstap. Hurrah, what a place. We can go. And the Aes Sedai heard a village, so they come trotting up. Oh, they want to go in and sleep in a proper bed and have a meal and a wash and all the rest. Now that is Jolene, Edicina, and Teslan who's up there. And Vannon tries first to be tough about what he's saying, but his comments get stared down, and he eventually becomes very gracious in his gesture to the Aes Sedai, like courtesying and nodding head, as opposed to just his normal off-the-cuff comment. And Matt's like, no, don't do it, Vannon, don't do it. Good man has fallen. Yes. But Teslan wants to know how far they are from Camelin, and it's like 200 leagues. So how long is this going to take? Well, you're marching an army through this, and this is to the Broken Road reference. It is shit. There's forest and bush. It's going to take a long time. And then Teslan's like, no, how about you just give us 20 horses, and then we'll go. And then Matt lays it all out. Like, okay.
Jolene, right? Jolene's the one asking for all the horses and stuff. Was it Tesla?
Yes, I don't think it's Jolene. Jolene was pushing that. You are right. But Matt then is like, okay, let's do the math here. You two. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 4 horses and you go. But no, there's more, because it's the Aes Sedai. It is the add-ons, Stella Nun. It is also the Damani, or that Suldam Damani?
All Seta of them.
Seta and Bethaman. Rena's dead. And it explains all of this, and then so Matt's like, oh, well, if you're going to need that many, you probably need so much fodder for the horses as well. How about a few men to, tend the horses at night? And she's like, yes, it'll be a fantastic idea. And Matt's like, no, there'll be no such thing. You will just travel with us. And that is how it is. No coin, no men, no horses. Get in the back of the van. So Matt sends word that they'll be camping soon. They don't want to scare the town with a whole army, so they'll be far away. And also, Vannon sent word, men aren't having off time going to town, plundering, and going crazy. It's just him and Talmanis that will be going into town to do their deeds. But of course, the Aes Sedai will do whatever they want to do. Poor Vannon is not happy to be the one delivering that bad news. Now, this is Talmanis then picks up and says to Matt, you know, she'll be fine. She's royalty, referring back to Tuon again. And then Matt changes the subject. Is there any more of that tobacco left? And he's like, no, it was the last pinch of 2 rivers tobacco. Very scarce. Yes, rations truly are low now, so the village and gambling would be a great escape for them. And boy, are they in for it now. End of that chapter.
In the step, eh?
Indeed.
Edge.
Yeah, this whole chapter was very slapsticky. Great, like
here we go.
Matt seems all slapsticky. Even Vannon on his horse trying to read the map, like, oh, it's there. No, it's there. No, I'm sure I know where I'm going. And
Vannon.
Definitely.
Like, I've got a note here, Joe. I've only got 5 notes for this chapter, and one of them is Vannon has also become a little less cool under Brandon's watch. I don't like seeing him uncertain of anything.
Yeah. Like he seems all silly.
He's lost his nonchalant sort of disdain.
He's flustered here, where he shouldn't be. Vannon is never flustered. Anyway.
Also, Matt saying, women are like mules. No, goats. Women are like goats. That sort of staccato, colloquial type of talking is that's Brandon, right? Like that's how he writes a lot of his characters. Yeah, anything else, Joe? I've got, like I said, 3 more notes.
I've got some information on Satel and Nun, but that can wait then until after you've got your...
Oh, she used to be a brown.
Yes. You've been also doing some sneaky research.
I had, yes.
Well, you do that, and then I'll do Satel and Nun. Your notes.
Okay.
Finish your notes.
Well, just that she was a brown and she was studying Tarangril, and she was burnt out because she was studying a Tarangril that caused her to lose her.
No, I mean your notes on this chapter.
Oh. Okay.
So it takes both.
Well, this ancient road that they're traveling on is why we couldn't figure out which large city Matt was near when Rand saw him. Because it's in the middle of nowhere. It's an ancient road to ancient cities that don't exist anymore. So Rand was like, oh, they must be near a city. That's a big road. Yeah. And we were looking at the map. What? There's no big cities anywhere near where they are. It's because it's ancient. Another Brandonism when Matt says, where on the Dark One's blistered backside are we?
Yes. Smearing it on thick.
No. What's the sailor, the always drunk sailor from Tintin? What's his name? Captain.
I don't know.
Nah, that's a callback for me. But that sounds like he was going blistering barnacles and stuff. So no one can say blistered anything without me thinking about him. And then the last thing I had was Matt thinking, these Aes Sedai, I don't want them to squabble anymore. And there's like, oh wait, no, they don't squabble. He was reprimanded very, very badly for insinuating that Aes Sedai squabble. But we know they are the most squabbly of squabblers in the whole series.
Yeah, the circumstance threw those 3 women together. They were never meant to be together. No. They are very clashing personalities.
Yeah. But those were the only notes I had. First Matt chapter.
One more note on Satel and Nun is that she has a power ranking of 14, or had, making her very strong for an Aes Sedai. Few would have matched her strength, and even fewer surpassed it. So she was super strong as well, and an expert in Tangreal, and then those two were just bad news combined.
Mm-hmm.
Just threw too much into it.
Sorry, Satel, because she seems cool.
Hence
So burning out
the
can't
interest of the medallion to her.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So you can heal stilling, but you can't heal burning out. It's not the same thing.
No, apparently. Well, I mean, we haven't seen Nynaeve try, so who knows?
If someone can heal Satel, it'll have to be an Asherman, though, remember?
Mm-hmm.
If the men heal the women up to full power.
Yes. Now, out of all of that, did you guys pick a favorite moment of any description?
There was nothing to enjoy in these chapters.
Nothing cool
Very
happened now.
sparse
Could have put my finger
chapters for a favorite moment.
A lot of table setting.
Okay, let me ask. Did anyone not choose Egwene's moment in Eleida's rooms as their favorite moment?
No one did that. None of the listeners even. I'm making a wild prediction.
No. I had, before I'd read that full conclusion of that scene, there was one little part of it that I'd previously flagged, which is overshadowed by like the climax and the culmination of that whole interaction, but it is still pretty cool. And you guys spoke about it a little bit. It's when Elaida accuses Egwene of not taking the 3 oaths and spreading lies about the Semirhage attacking the tower. She responds with, I've held no oath rod, but it isn't the rod that makes my words true. I've spoken the words of the oaths in my heart, and to me they are more dear, for I have nothing forcing me to hold on to them. And by that oath holding me, I tell you again, I am a dreamer, and I have dreamed that the Semirhage will attack the White Tower. If only Elaida listened, because she's going to get collared, and she's going to get taken away on a tow wagon.
Beautiful.
On one of those very spacious tow wagon that can fit X amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
Or Y, depending on the equation.
Yeah.
No, I think Y is
I
on
have
Reagan.
a very nice honorable mention specifically to Telmanus. And being Kyranian, try that again. Kyranian. Kyranian. That
Kyranian.
He's from that place.
Iranian.
Yes. Where all the dry, inhuman people come from. Not a lot of fun.
Yes.
Basically pulling Matt along and taking the piss is the best word to say it.
Yes.
Saying, and the specific line, it actually had me like tearing up with laughter. Of the I bet in your sleep you'll say like, where's my bloody drink? Where's my bloody anyone want to gamble for my drink?
Yeah. Love Telmanus.
Was funny. He's
I'd like to see more of him. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know, because we don't get to know Telmanus a lot under Jordan's tutelage.
No, I mean you read about him a lot, but you don't. Yeah, you don't learn much.
Not a lot of like POVs at all.
There, and I think what I didn't pay a lot of attention to it first time round, and as we've made the dedication to know the side characters as well, he has stood out to be, a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have some honorable mentions. Joe, do you have honorable mentions that are not Egwene, just the rocking face?
I might agree with you on some of yours. I'll just hijack some of yours.
The little matter of Semirhage getting spanked by Cadsuane.
And eating beans off the floor. Yes.
Eating beans off the floor. That was pretty good. I also had Sharina Melloy when she has that conversation with Siuan, sort of like piecing all these. She can see what Lelaine is doing, reiterating to Siuan, my wagon is also hitched to Egwene. We need Egwene to succeed for us to have like any real, sway or future in the world. And specifically the line she uses is when she gets Siuan to make the observation about Lelaine causing chaos, she says to her, one could put that observation to good use, I should think. She's schooling Siuan in that moment. Like, do you see what I'm saying here? Yes, very good. I shall wash these clothes for you. I
shall wash these clothes and move on.
Basket of laundry. Yeah. Sharina Melloy, if you'll recall, is also incredibly powerful. She is as strong as Olivia. So she's stronger than Nynaeve. She's stronger than most of the Forsaken. I think only Semirhage is maybe her equal. So yeah, loving Sharina. To our listeners, send us your personal favorite moments too. Send us your own theories, corrections, recollections, or ask the hard questions. You can do so by sending in a text message via the social media links in the description below, or recording a voice note at bloodandashespodcast.com. Join the Discord and have a chat with us and our other fans. Please rate and review the podcast on your favorite podcast app, or just start yelling about it in the streets. When you're done yelling, make yourself a nice cup of tea with honey to soothe your raw throat, and grab your copy of The Gathering Storm so you can prepare for next time on Blood and Ashes, where we will cover chapters 21 through 26. That's 6 old chapters. Brandon chapters, short. Quick, hey? Yeah. You can see even in the section, a lot of the chapters are little ones, which is kind of cool, and it adds to that feeling of pace that you were talking about. Like, stuff is happening. We're getting into a chapter, we're reading some stuff, next, which is super welcome. Nothing sticking out here, Joe. Nothing looking like an attack on the tower, embers and ash, last that could be done, a warp in the air, a new commitment in darkness, and a crack in the stone. Now, just like this episode started with a banger of a chapter, the next episode has got a pretty major event that we have alluded to many times, that starts off the episode, and I was shocked when I read them. I was like, oh fuck, okay, I've got to keep going. How far have you read, Joe?
No idea, I couldn't tell you.
Okay, all right, well, we'll find out in our next episode. So until I see you there, I will say to everyone, sleep well and wake.
Live long and prosper.
Sleep well and wake up rested.
I will. Thank you.
Good evening.